On mute. Let me try this again. Jessica, we are live. Thank you so much for everybody for joining our first roundtable of the Kgosi Film Circle for 2026. To give you context, so I started this community last year where the idea was we would have a club, a film club. Think of it like book club, but for films, for people who don't get to read a lot. And we started it, we had about 4 meetings, and then it kind of fizzled out. I think the engagement from the book club was more consistent, which I was surprised at because I thought this would be more popular, but we try again. And today we discuss The Polygamist, which was a book by Sue Nyathi, which has been transformed for the screen on Netflix into a telenovela, which has 22 episodes. We've got about 15 people on the call. So I would just like to start with some ground rules about this community, because I think it's the first time some of you join us or join the Kgosi Bookshelf on live. We have a book club meeting. Sorry about that. We have a book club meeting that happens twice a month, and we've grown the book club to a point where it now has a paid subscription. So it's closed, but this community is open. And so with book club, I always encourage us to be honest and free. This is a safe space. I want you to have fun when you are joining my communities. I don't want this to be like a stressful place, right? And then I also want you to share your opinions freely, but you must also back it up. You can't just say I hate something without context, right? And then also, can we be respectful towards each other? Not be aggressive, not be nasty. And then, yeah, I think essentially that's about it. Any questions so far? And I like that everybody who has their camera on has the backdrop that I created. So, as I mentioned, The Polygamist is a 22-episode South African telenovela. It follows the glamorous life of Joyce and Jonasi, a social media influencer who has a seemingly perfect marriage to the wealthy business tycoon Jonasi Gomorrah, but that all shatters when she discovers his secret double life, hidden mistresses, and hidden children, and we are taken on a whirlwind adventure of the Gomorrah household. So normally we start with introductions, but I think today we're going to switch it off. We're going to switch it up a bit. As we start our discussion today, right? I would like your initial rating of the TV series. No, wait, did you watch the TV series? What is your initial rating? And yeah, I'll go last. So I'll start with Abigail. Oh, and also where are you from?
Hi everyone, I'm Abigail. I'm from Kenya. Yeah, I just finished the series. I did a marathon today and I'm happy I managed to finish. Yeah, so I think I would rate it probably an 8 out of 10. My view was that at least it showcased what is happening in society. Yeah, something. Yeah, it shows what is actually going on, and it shows the realness of it, as opposed to also sugarcoating it. Yeah, so that's my rating.
Thank you so much, Abigail. Next, Carol Munga, if you can speak, please. Oh, and if you can go on camera, please do go on camera. If you can't, it's also okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Karamunga Zubhad. I'm from Kenya. Hi Abigail, I'm from Kenya. I finished watching The Polygamist the previous Sunday. So this week has just been just going through the reviews about people's reaction to the the series. I rate it as a 9 out of 10. This is the best series I've watched this year, this far, supporting Africa culture and everything. It provoked a lot of discussion in terms of the different African culture that is there. Most likely the traditional way of our forefather, our grandfathers, our fathers, how they view marriage, how they view family. So it provoked a lot of internal conversation. And also I can add that in each and every character, someone could relate to that character or the person. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hear the other views about their 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 views on the series so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Next, we have Comfort.
Hi guys, my name is actually Ibu. Comfort is my middle name, and I'm from South Africa. So I've read the book, but many years ago. So a lot of the things I actually had forgotten, and yeah, watching the series, I was like, did this really happen this way? I wasn't quite sure, but I would rate my rating would be, I would say 7 out of 10. And my initial thought is from a production perspective, they did well. But I do think that there was a little bit of a lack in terms of the cultural aspect that I think Carol spoke to. I don't think there was depth on the cultural aspect. I don't think they really, maybe there should have been a sort of bringing in like the roots of polygamy, because I don't think that came through, and it sort of made me question whether are they calling him a polygamist just because he has multiple partners, or is it really the practice of polygamy as we know it in Africa, or at least maybe some people from the religions that they come from, maybe they practice religion or even from a cultural aspect. But yes, on the realities, most of those stories, most of those characters I could resonate with. I can relate with some of those realities. So on that aspect, that's why then there's that 7 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10. So yeah, that's me.
Kgosi, we've lost you. Don't know if he's able to even hear us.
Can you hear me?
You're breaking. Your audio is not too good.
Okay. Next.
Your audio, Kgosi, there's a lot of echo. Can't hear you properly.
Okay, sorry. Let me type it in then while I try to switch
No,
internet
you're fine now.
connections.
You're perfect now. We can
Okay.
hear you now. Yeah.
All right. Nani, since you're on, you've taken the mic, I think you can go next.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Nani. I'm from Rodiport. I definitely watched The Polygamist last week. I watched all of it. I found it thoroughly entertaining. I thought the characters were well picked. In terms of rating, I would give it a 7. I have some reservations about certain things. And yeah, I think I was mostly impressed by Celeste. I think Celeste is one of those actresses that we should start taking seriously. In fact, I think she should start taking her acting more seriously, because I honestly believe she's Oscar worthy. I think one day we're going to wake up and we're going to see Celeste, accepting an Oscar. That's how electrifying she is. Her screen presence is just phenomenal. She reminds me of Lupita Nyong'o, how she came from nowhere in that movie of 12 Years a Slave, and she won an Oscar. I see Celeste reaching those levels. So I particularly enjoyed, watching her. And yeah, I enjoyed the series. It was entertaining. Yeah.
Thank you, Nani. Next, we have Dineo.
Hi, everybody. So I enjoyed the series a lot. I watched it twice. The first time I watched it by myself, I slept at 3 a.m. because I couldn't stop. And then the second time around, I watched it with my husband. And when I was watching it with him, I was watching it I was looking at his facial expression to say, hey, wait, now, what is happening here? But we both enjoyed it. And yeah, in terms of the production, I give it a 10 out of 10. It was perfect. It was world class. And I'm very happy to see that everybody's receiving it well. And the world is just speaking about it. And it's kudos to Africa, not just South Africa, but to Sue, to the producers, Akima Notoso, everybody in J. It just shows if we can unite as Africans, what we could do. And yeah, but overall, I enjoyed the series.
Thank you, Dineo. Lerato, you're next. Okay, maybe Lerato can't speak. Mary?
Hi everyone, my name is Mary. I'm from Kenya. To rate the series, I would give it actually an 11 out of 10, really, minus the wigs. They could have done better on the wigs, but anyway. My take away from it was every scene, every episode, I recognized my relatives, I recognized myself in some of them, my ex-husband, and basically it is an eye-opener generally as to how we handle life, we handle marriage, especially the social expectations of women in marriage, and how going forward we can put aside all those social norms that bring down women and make life better for women, because we are the mainstay of any family. So I think we then can discuss what is our takeaway, how do we make life more bearable for women without killing them basically with societal pressure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. Lerato, you said you can speak after Mary?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, my name is Lerato. I am from South Africa in Cape Town. I watched The Polygamist and yeah, I enjoyed it. My takeaway from it is I just love it that it brought back that education, you know, sort of aspect of it. People have forgotten about how dangerous HIV and AIDS. So my takeaway from it was the fact that we had a discussion. I think it was a discourse around the importance of safe sex, the importance of taking your medication, the importance as well of taking care of yourself. That was my takeaway from it. Other than that, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Mbali, I think you're next. Mbali, can you go next? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can.
Mbali, if you can, please go next. Otherwise, who's after Mbali?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. Hi everybody. I'm Bali from Johannesburg, South Africa. I actually went on a reading marathon between yesterday and today, because I'm one of those read the book before you watch. And then I only managed to watch about 60% of the series so far. I'm having a hard time rating it. I don't know. I think I'm having conflicting feelings between the storyline itself and the characters and the production. So I don't know how to create like a separation. But based on where I am, I'm still at like a 6. Yeah, because also I'm not done. But yeah, that's my rating, and I think I'll unpack some of the themes later through discussions.
Awesome, Mbali. Thank you. Mukibelo?
Hi, I'm Kivelo. I'm from South Africa, Polygamy. And for me, my rating is I give it an 8. I actually enjoy the story. The acting was amazing. I don't think I have faulted anybody's acting because, like South Africa, they keep on hiring influencers, and some of them can't really act. So I was actually impressed that they actually had proper actors. So yeah, I'm very happy with the series. I give it an 8.
Oh, nice, Mukibelo. Next, we have Ndimakazi. If she cannot speak Nkele, or you can.
Hi.
Hello.
No, technology is busy kicking my butt today. So, evening, everyone. Name is Ndimakazi, from Johannesburg, South Africa. In terms of the series, I haven't read the book as yet, but I've watched the entire series within a day and a half. It was very enjoyable. If I were to give it a rating, I would really say 10 out of 10, because in terms of, and from a filmmaker perspective, it was, because at first it'd be like 22 episodes. It seems like overwhelming to consume, but it is in the manner in which is paced, how every episode has its own pace and its own themes. It was really well executed from the writer's perspective, where I also would feel that no one felt robbed, and also like in terms of like the shots that were used, and the color and the textures, and I especially loved how when each episode they would go back and reflect or the backstory of each character, and how they would use that in terms of the storytelling to the current present moment. So yeah, it was a job well done from the entire cast. Like one of the speakers was saying in regards to Celeste Ntuti, she pleasantly surprised me in terms of like her acting is not limited to the comedy that we as the audience know her, that she's able to discover other layers towards her talent, and that was beautiful to see. So definitely enjoyed it.
Thank you. You gave a comprehensive overview. Did you give a score?
Yes, I did. It was 10 out of 10.
Okay. Nkele?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, Nkele. I'm from Johannesburg as well. I really enjoyed it. I watched it last week, Monday and Tuesday, and I enjoyed the show. I've never read the book before. I was supposed to read it earlier on in the year, and then I didn't. But when the show came and I started seeing conversations about it in the book club WhatsApp group, I thought I'm just going to watch it without reading the book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was well performed by each and every actor and actress. The whole cast was really brilliant. I give it a 10 out of 10. I like the storyline in addition to the acting. Quite really proud of everyone who was in that show. Thanks.
Thank you, Nkele. It seems like so far everybody's liking the show. I'm waiting for somebody who said, I absolutely hated this. Ndombi too.
That's 6 out of 10.
Hello, everyone. I am Dombietu Maimele. I'm originally from Port Elizabeth,
but I stay in Pretoria. I watched the show the day it got out. I give it a 10 out of 10. However, I do think that it shouldn't have been called The Polygamist. It should have been called The Narcissist. I think maybe that's what Sue Nyathi had at the time when she was writing the book, but she maybe didn't have the word to say the narcissist, because I think it's now a growing phenomenon, the whole concept of a narcissist. Because when you think of what polygamy is and what was happening in the TV show, you start to realize, this is not polygamy. This is just a man who is self-serving, who's self-centered, and who is enabled. So I give it a 10 out of 10 from casting, cinematography, scripts, to the fine details of Essie's wigs, because Mama Sekasi wears wigs like that, to the colors. Matipa wore the red that brings danger to the character, to Ugugu, Joyce, how she wore white, which was like more of like the matriarch element to her character, to the houses, to the opulence, to all of it. I thought, wow, fine, great attention to detail. Everything is aligning. I was basically impressed with the whole show.
I lost network there for a bit. Tombieti, did you finish speaking?
Sorry?
Did you finish speaking?
Yes, I did.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I heard the part where you're talking about the red for Matipa, and we'll get into that. Thank you so much. Tebogo.
Hi everyone, I am Ditebogo, based in Pretoria, South Africa. I am rating the show 10 out of 10 simply because the show did what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to create conversation, it was supposed to draw everybody in, and that's exactly what it did. Everybody, all of a sudden, we are all experts in all social issues and all human behavior. And that is what storytelling is supposed to do. And we now have newfound critics. Everybody all of a sudden is a professional critic. They are nitpicking what they need to nitpick. Everybody is relating. Everybody is comparing what they need to compare. And that is the power of storytelling. Once you put work out, that's what you wanted to do, exactly what it's currently doing. It's surpassing even the writers' expectation. It's now global, it's worldwide. And that's why I rated it 10 out of 10 in terms of what the story is about and the characters. Like I said, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Calling it the polygamist, this is what initially polygamy was back in the day, before everybody found new language for everything else. That's how people behaved. And it also sets a tone into how people thought back then and how people think today, which also highlights the power of education and not being ignorant in a lot of things and just being woke all of a sudden, because we're now seeing just how to run it, but how business operates, how ice boys come about, how daddy issues stem from, how the desire for attention come about, how people stay because they don't want to lose certain things, how they want to show up in society. And this is what the story is doing. And I know we're going to get a lot into the type of characters and who we hate the most, even though we all don't like Jonasi. But I'm a fan of his work. I'm a fan of Jonasi's work. I will say this with my full chest. There is one person throughout the story who stayed true to themselves, and that is that man. he stayed true to himself. He did what he wanted to do. He did who he wanted to do. He stayed honest to everybody and he lied to whoever he needed to lie to. But overall, he was true to his character and he has my respect for that. So that's why I give it a 10 out of 10.
Tebogo, would you not say the same about Baba Shegi, but we will unpack that in the book club group because
Don't start with me, Baba Shagi gives me heart palpitations.
And go join her on TikTok like you normally do if you can.
I will, yeah.
Tebogo.
Okay.
Hello, how are you? My name is Ditebogo from Pretoria. Well, I read the book and I also watched the series. The book is different from what we are seeing in the show, because with the show, you could actually describe John as a polygamist. And obviously, in the show, you see, in the book, you can describe him as the polygamist. But in the show, you're obviously seeing a person who's having an affair and cheating every way. And well, in my honest opinion, I give the show a 7 out of 10 and the book 5 out of 5. The reason being, with the show, the casting was not the one that I mostly agree with. I mean, Jonas, for example, could not have been Jonas. Who's the guy? Probably was supposed to be a wise man, being that Jonas in the book was only cleansed by the money. And he was ugly in the book. You know, Sue Nyathi described Jonas as a person who even you could not love him, even though he was poor, because like the background of him being poor is true. And in the show, they made Essie the bodybuilder, but at the like, she's not a bodybuilder. The bodybuilder was Joyce starting from the time in university and going forward. But for me, overall, I disagree. I didn't finish the show, but for me, it's a 7. And other than that, but if you have read the book, you'll probably understand what I mean. But other than that, it is a nice, but yeah.
Thank you, Tabu. And next
Thank
we
you.
have Unati and then Zulu Auntie and then Neo just joined. Okay. Unati, if you can't speak Zulu Auntie, can you speak?
Oh, there we go. Sorry. With me, hi guys, my name is Jonasi, and I'm from Bangladesh, Johannesburg, South Africa. I literally watched the series based on, and as others have said, that in terms of production, they did deliver in terms of Palestine, lighting, and so on, like even the cast, but also the cast. I have questions, but we'll discuss that later. However, I did like the color scheme a lot because it represented the characters a lot and it said a lot about the relationships between the characters. We looked at Martina when she meets Jonas the first time. She's wearing purple, and Jonas is wearing a purplish reddish color, and you can already tell and discover that those people are going to have a fond relationship. And as the episode furthermore go, they still matching up until they start not having a good time in their relationship. Then you see after the scene of Joyce coming to give Jonasi the invitation to the what's this vow renewal uh, place, whatever it is. And then with Joyce, we discover she's wearing just like white, cream white, up until everything she discovers about Jonasi and all of that. Then she changes to cool colors, you know. But yeah, man, like overall, I rated, I say 8.5 because of some certain things that I would have loved them to dive deep in. But yeah, that's it for now.
Thank you, Onati. Next, we have Zulu Auntie.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nekuku, aka Zulu Auntie, and I am from Johannesburg, South Africa. Yeah, so I had read the book, I think 2-3 years ago, 2023, so 3 years ago. And then I obviously watched the series now, and I would give the series a 9 out of 10, simply because of just how they were able to translate the book into a film, the way they did it, the trans editing of it, and the language element, and just how the characters as well, little things about like how Essie, young Essie is similar to older Essie. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, like the whole, like the what is it, the gap on the tooth kind of thing. I loved those little details that people just get away with. But when they move from young character to older characters, I feel like they nailed that so beautifully. And also just bringing it to the South African market, I think that was done so beautifully, and bringing the children into the forefront, which wasn't done in the book. But you can tell that this series, they work very closely with Sue Nyathi, and it shows so perfectly. I usually don't like the film or the series from the book, but I must say that these are totally different. In my opinion, they are like totally different, and they hold their own in a different way, if that makes sense. But I'll get into the details later.
It does make perfect sense. Thank you so much to everybody that has introduced themselves. To everybody else, as I ask questions, if you haven't introduced yourself, please introduce yourself and then carry on to answer. So I'll ask a question, take about 5 answers, and then move on to the next question, just in the interest of time. I must say, Ntombi Ethu Maimela looks like Mayeni from Uthando's Temple. I cannot ignore it. I'm sitting here looking at you and I'm like, is this Mayeni's child?
That's so true. I've been looking at her thinking, why does she look so familiar? That's so true.
It's a face that lashes the hair, everything, right? So we jump in first episode, you press your remote, say watch, because everybody's talking about it. Scene opens, we're at the funeral, Joyce whispers into the coffin, the episode circles back. After you switch off the first episode, where do you think we're going with the story, especially for the people that had not read the book? You know nothing, right? So what is your plot in your head? And if you answer, I want to answer, please raise your hand. There is a hand little button at the bottom there. Then I'll call out your name. Nani?
Thanks, Kgosi. I don't know if you remember my comment in our group when I said I watched the first episode and I wasn't impressed because everyone was just overacting. There was just so much overacting and so much drama. You know, I was tempted to just leave it there and not watch further. But something said to me, look, it's a good cast. You know, the cast is very talented. I mean, you know, when you look at the people that are playing the character, the actors that are playing the character, I mean, they're reputable actors. So I said to myself, there must be more to it. So let me continue watching it, right? And once you start moving past the first episode, I believe, I think, you know, there were so many themes that I picked up as I was watching, you know, from one episode to the next, that I'm hoping that we're going to touch on as a group. You know, firstly, the theme of money, you know, financial independence, and what it has done to the family structure of Black people, what it has done to the Black men, and are we the financial position that we're in now as a people, are we using it responsibly? I wish we could have, that type of discussion to say, what has money done to us in terms of family structure? And then also the theme of, women. I'll be honest. I watched it from the perspective of wife, and I watched it from the perspective of side chick, because I've been both. So, I was very honest in how I watched the whole series. I was very, very honest. And I would like us to also have a very candid discussion as women as to accountability. At what point are we going to start taking accountability for the fact that we enable some of these behaviors that happen in men? Because men cheat with other women, and those women know that those men are married. At what point do we feel that it's okay for us to fight each other for something that doesn't even belong to us? So that's another theme that I would like for us to discuss. And then for me, lastly, I made a comment to my sister yesterday when she was, and I think someone in this panel as well made a comment about the wigs, right? I think that is a topic that we need to discuss, particularly as Black women, because at what point do we feel that it's okay for us to be so critical of each other's hair that doesn't also even belong to us? So I think it's an interesting topic that we need to talk about, and we need to be really honest about. So I think that's what I really loved about the show. It touched on very, very critical topics that we need to engage about. When you go past the drama and you go past the salaciousness, of the storyline, they're very interesting topics that we can engage about, and I would like for us to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Nani. You raised 3 themes which we can unpack. And yes, we can go into them. And I'd also like to ask that when we do go into them, please bring in the technical aspect. There was somebody who came on here and talked about Matipa's dresses and whatnot, and the lighting and the change of costumes. You can also bring in the characters and how they play to those themes that Nani just raised, as well as the story in terms of like what happened in the stories, the scenes, etc., that play to what Nani has said. And Nani, I like that you came first because you came with very like thought-provoking themes, because now what I had wrote down here is like, what scene shocked you, right? But I like the depth that you're bringing because I didn't go to that level. Now I was enjoying the drama. So thanks for that. Mukebela Unati, and then, yeah, we will dive into the themes that Nati brought up, and I think that would give us a more engaging and in-depth conversation.
Now, when I actually saw the first episode and I saw Joyce Atena wearing a white dress and the way she actually spoke to Jonasi, my mind went to anyone who watched the river. My mind went to Lerekema Matlabantu. You know how Matlabantu always acted every time her husband got a new side chick. She will always do something bad. So in my mind, I was thinking that she probably of him because I didn't read the book. So in my mind, I was thinking Joyce was just my Lavantu. She was not. I was kind of disappointed because I think Lavantu had some sort of power, which I think Joyce didn't have. The way Joyce literally just, yeah. So my mind just went straight to, I'm going to be watching something like with the river and, this woman who keeps on killing people and whatever. But I was actually very happy when I found out that's not what was happening because I feel like most South African stories are like that. There's going to be this powerful woman who keeps on offing people. Like she kills this person, she keeps this person, keeps this person. So I was thinking she's probably going to be that woman who's literally offing all of her husband's side chicks. So I was actually very impressed. The first episode, after I watched the first episode, everything that happened after was not what I actually expected. And I think that was actually great. it was not predictable. I could say it was not predictable. I was shocked.
Thank you, Mukibelo. I don't think she could have been that right. Joyce could have been Madlabantu because Madlabantu actually had her own mind, you know, and Joyce, it was said that she's a social media influencer, and even that didn't really come through on the show as much as it was talked about, right? So it seemed more leaning towards that she was more housewife-ish and doing the social media influencing on the side. Oh, that's how I read it anyway. Unati, but what you just said also speaks to the money theme that Nani just brought up. Unati?
Hi guys again. Well, with me for the first episode, guys,
Unati,
obviously I
can you
could
speak
mention
without
that
your... Are you able
my
to speak
headphones.
without... Yeah.
Let me try. Can you guys hear me now? Is it Let me do this quickly. Can you guys hear me better?
Can anybody hear you?
No, there's still audio issues there.
Is it?
I can hear her proper.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, much
That's a bit better.
Go.
It's a bit better, yeah.
As I said, that obviously from the first episode, I did notice that Matipa comes in, right? And we are being told that Matipa, is dating the brother to Joe, right? And I noticed something about Matipa and Joe. They're not matching, right? And then when Matipa meets Joe, they are matching in palettes and all of that, right? And then we go to the hospital scene, and one thing I've noticed, then the hospital scene with Joyce and Joe are together, and he just gave birth, right? I noticed something that it gave us the dynamic of their relationship. How so? There's a time where Joe says, we did this, right, to Joyce. And Joyce refuses to take the flowers from Joe. And she says, no, you did this, right? And that alone gives us the dynamic of their relationship, saying that Joyce is kind of like playing as a mother to Joe because she doesn't want to be given flowers. She doesn't want to hold the flowers with Joe, right? And that prolongs through the series to say that now I'm going deeper now because when they start having issues in their marriages, right? And then now Joyce wants to take the flowers to say we built this, right? And now Joe is like, no, listen, I did this. It's because of of how Joyce was enabling Joe from the beginning because of that thing. As a woman, as an African woman, you are given that perspective on how to treat your man and how to speak to your man. You should give him power. You should give him all of those things that will make his ego just feel good, right? And that alone, that scene, that hospital scene shows the dynamic, right? And then what else? And then obviously you would see Joyce confused with the color palettes, which is cream white and white. It's just basically that, which shows that okay, it kind of like it gives us the character as okay, she's a good one because white equals to someone who's pure, someone who's gonna be a favorite, someone who's going to be innocent, things like that. But Matipa comes with pure elegance. You see purple, you see the theme of her, like it's just like luxury. Obviously the wigs, we need to discuss the wigs. And also, as one of the ladies said, that as Africans, we need to also study the hair, how we show off our hair as like in productions, right? Yes, definitely in society right now, the wigs do rule the world, right? And they are relevant most of the time, but we
definitely need to discuss that. However, to what you initially asked, when I opened the first episode, and what I thought initially was, is this gonna give us one of those South African men is painted badly, right? And these are the conversations that we've been having, that a lot of production, they fail to represent South African men or African men generally in a good manner, right? And I'm not saying these things don't happen. I'm not saying that the polygamist was at fault. These things do happen. I know all of those characters in my life. However, it was just like, what are we going to see? Is the woman going to be good and all of that? And of which it proved me right in a way, because after you've watched the episode and you go on TikTok or you go anywhere, everyone is speaking about Jonasi. They're forgetting other characters that bring this Jonasi to strive in this community. They're forgetting about Joyce, they're forgetting about Essie, they're forgetting about all of these characters that enabled Joe, you know. And that's the other thing that I want us to look into, that when are we going to take accountability as a society to say, we are the one who birth these characters, we are the one who enable these characters, and then when these characters do these things to us, it's just only them. It's just like Jonasi, Jonasi, Jonasi. So yeah.
Thank you, Unati. Next, it's Ditebogo.
Well, starting from the first scene where from the funeral and stuff, I'm a person who has read the book. It is understood that Joyce forgave Jonasi based on the fact that she wanted peace from the men she has ever she has loved. I mean, she in the book, Jonasi was a caring father and sort of a caring husband in terms of the way he had came. As that's what I'm saying, from the book he is a polygamist. Then in the show, in the show it came up to be that he is obviously seen as a public shame, and which is true. One of the things that you must put in on to note that Jonasi is a narcissist, as some suggested from the title, that it was not supposed to be called not polygamist but the narcissist. But those who have read the book will understand that Jonasi was polygamist, in my opinion. But in terms of the idea saying that women are the ones who have best such behaviors, I will disagree as a man, in my own opinion. It's because we cannot, not everything is on the basis that the reason of men being animals are because of women. A man like Jonasi, if for example had a background that was wronged against him, was supposed to make peace the moment he has met the lovely wife Joyce. And it being so, we can't blame Abu Matipa, who were misled by a charming man like Jonasi coming from the office that wanted a higher position. So then for me, it is not a thing of saying such behaviors were birthed by a woman. Such behaviors should not be encouraged by even us as men. My take about the show, hence I said I do not like how it was presented to the public, that because even some men are defending Jonasi, saying that Jonasi was misunderstood. He was not misunderstood. The show was supposed to act in a way of a narcissist, but it was not supposed to be encouraged to say that he was misunderstood. We are supposed to stop such acts so that so that the idea of African polygamy should be seen in a better way. If there's disagreements within that marriage, we should fix it amongst the elders or the women also. Not to say that now go fetch another one to fix this too. So then, for me, the idea of it is that we should not say it's the woman who best. The women were misled by this guy, and many of which others, like the ones that we know mostly on this show, Uthandoni's Tembo. I mean, we ought to blame the men for the wrongs that is happening in that. Let's not say because those ones are fighting. So for me, the show showed something that we should rectify amongst the men, and guys who watch the show should go out and spread a message to see that we have watched this thing, but we should not be encouraged by the idea of Jonas came and have Joyce, and so we should encourage those things. That is called affair, and we should not be in terms of promoting that, in my case. But other than that, it is a good idea that such topics of and the Wigs, I cannot argue about that. I can't argue. So, but for me, yeah, it's a nice thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ditebogo. Let's have Ndimakazi and Ditebogo. Guys, can you try to keep the responses brief because we still have a lot to get through? So Ndimakazi and then Ditebogo.
So for me, in terms of like two quick things with the first episode, I felt like it was well done by the director of the show to start the first scene with the funeral, because from the aspect of keeping the viewers locked into each and every episode, because we're in an era now where people consume half rush, consume stuff they watch. So the thing of having Jonas's death in the background, it's like, okay, we want to see how this guy dies because he keeps shocking us and giving us high blood pressures every episode. What is it like? We want to get to the end road. What is the end game, and how does it get to the end game? And to have that the beginning, the ending at the beginning was very smart play in terms of keeping everyone engaged and within the storytelling, and also like how also a reminder, because I feel like there's been a lack of edutainment in most of these shows when it comes to, especially like, if you slip around, most chances than not, you will contract an STD, or even worse, you will contract HIV. And I think we've kind of like, those were the essence that made all the glory shows back in the day, your Sun Cities, your intersections, was having those themes being told. Yes, you can tell beautiful stories, but also edutainment is very much essence part of South African storytelling, and I love that they had that with this one. And lastly, it bothered me how the woman with Lindani, how yes, eventually she morphed into something beyond because she got in love with the excess and the soft life. But ultimately, this was a child. She was groomed. And for Joyce to end up slut shaming her, like disturbing a bit, because it was like, it's your husband here who's at fault here, who literally saw how the poverty that Udindani came from, and yet here you are still slut shaming her. And I think also by fault, Joyce is also a result of her mother's teachings, because her mother is like a patriarch princess, a pick-me, head girl of pick-me's, and therefore, by default, those women become enablers. Hence why he was, Jonas, to roam around and do what the hell he wanted, because all of those women, about Essie, motif, they come from households where their mothers are like pygmies, like the patriarch princesses, and as a result, women are from birth are programmed to serve the man regardless of his faults. It's even worse if he's able to provide. So like, yeah, in terms of like all the various themes, like we're gonna dive into very, very cool. But for me, those are the ones that stuck out for me. And also in terms of the episode 1, it was well executed.
Thank you, Tebogo. And then Carol, I'll ask my question and then maybe you can add on to that question.
Thank you. I think 2 things for me. Number 1, we need to actually separate the series from the book. And by that, I mean, number 1, the book is always better and there's always more in the book than there will be in a series. And the reason I'm saying this is because with producing TV screen, the directors and everybody else involved in the production gets creative freedom. So they will exercise their creative freedom and maybe veer away, just like take detours in terms of what the story initially is within the book. So we need, I know we are readers, I know we are lovers of text and all of that, but if we can, for this discussion, just separate the two, because when you read the book and when you've watched the series, you actually see that all of a sudden you're an expert in storytelling because you're like, they didn't do this, or this character doesn't look like that character. Like before, the series did what it's supposed to do. Number 2, the opening scene is exactly what it's supposed to do, sit you down. It is supposed to sit you down and you are going to get shocked scene after scene, episode after episode. It opens the way that a hook is supposed to do. And with the series, there were no cliffhangers. Everything moved very quickly, very fast paced, so that it did what it's supposed to do. I think this is going to be my sentence throughout this thing. The series did what it's supposed to do. And in terms of, I don't like to say pointing fingers and blaming people. Everyone in this show knew exactly what they were doing. Everyone knew exactly what they were getting into. The only person that I can say from the very beginning is that Joyce didn't know that there were other from the very beginning, but after she found out, she still stayed. So it means everybody knew exactly what they were doing. So we can't say this behavior is enabled by this or this. Everybody knew, everybody had agency and they made choices. And this is my point of view going forward. I'm looking at everybody based on the choices that they made, decisions that they made, and the consequences that came thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you, Tebogo. Carol, before I give you the mic, I'd like us to touch on the theme of money as suggested by Nani. And I like that she brought it up because when I was watching the show, I thought, I actually am pleasantly surprised that, I know this family is wealthy because I can see the house has a helipad and, the father owns a business, a thriving company. But I like that in the costuming and in what the characters were wearing, they were not overly flashy. When you watch something like this, Real Housewives of whatever, you'll find them wearing head-to-toe Gucci, head-to-toe Louis Vuitton. But here, I really like that it was muted. You knew they had money and they were not flaunting it in your face, right? So Nani wanted to explore the role of money in the Black community, and I'd just like for us to go down that rabbit hole. Carol, your hand is up. I will give you the floor.
Thank you. When it comes to money, there's this saying, a cliche saying that money rules the world, which is true. You could see it with Jonasi. Money rules the world. But also, money brings the real character. We are told, if you want to know the real character of a person, let's say a man, in this case Jonasi and the men in the series, it brought out the Jonasi when he was living in the township, as they described it, and the Jonasi in the real world, the after he went to university and he got into power and everything. So money brought out the real characters in this. In the case of Joyce, Joyce was how she was portrayed. She was brought up in a very wealthy family, and you can tell that the mom, who was constantly with Joyce, she enabled Joyce to continue putting a facade and enabling and allowing Jonasi to act the way she acts because of the world they live in, the image of the family, the name of the family. So you hide the dirty linen. You want to hide them because of this opulence, this world they live in. So I can say with Jonasi without money would have been a different Jonasi. But now money played a big factor in everything. You could even tell Matipa, she was after getting the promotion. At some point, she wanted to steal money from Jonasi, So I think also that comfort when Matipa lost her job, she was frustrated because she didn't know how to. And remember, she was educated, she was a lawyer, and they didn't portray that her brilliance, she's a lawyer. They portrayed that she wanted more. She wanted quick cash. She wanted the good life. So by doing that, she had to, cow down to Jonasi's behavior because of the comfort, and I think this is what's happening even with the younger generation. You're in university, you clear university, you want to upscale your career, you don't know that baby steps. So money aspects can say contributed a lot in this whole series. Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. And you had your hand up previously. Do you want to add on to what you wanted to say before?
Yeah. Thank you for that. Also, I wanted to divert a little bit and look at the different friends that surrounded. Like Joyce, when it started, she had this friend of hers. Matipa also had a friend of hers around her. So I was wondering, these friends were there for these ladies, but what role did they play in terms of, you can have your friend and you call them out on their bullshit. So was it that the support that surround you either enabled the way you're saying about the mother enabling Joyce and Matipa? Because I really liked Matipa's mother. She was like, I can't even during the as we call it dowry, I saw it, you call it I don't know how you call it. The mother didn't participate in that. She wasn't for it. How she stood her ground. She was like, what's this bullshit? So also I think that aspect of having people close to us, our support system, what role do they play? Do they enable us? Do they see us going down the hole, and instead of removing us, they let you be they're like, you're a grown ass person, you know what you're doing. Ama, do they call you out on your bullshit and keep you on a straight and narrow? So yeah, that's another angle of the people around the friendship. Yes.
Thank you so much, Carol. I'm going to bundle this in with the discussion around the women in the series, because it's a very important point. So I'll speak to it when we get to that. Okay. Itu?
Hi,
Your
Kgosi.
turn.
Yes, can you guys hear me properly? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So for me, I think the money aspect was definitely a very interesting highlight. More specifically when Joyce's mom was encouraging her to have an offshore account. She was like, because you can see that he's moving in different ways and you want to leave this marriage, you should be opening an offshore account. So I found it interesting that Carol is saying Joyce comes from a wealthy family. Yeah, that I think that wasn't like, for me, there was a contrast there in that, okay, if she's coming from a wealthy family, I guess one would assume she should have naturally, or at least been taught this, how to manage your money, and knowing that if you're in a marriage, for example, as a woman, making sure that you have your FU money. I don't know if people know this, that a woman should make sure that you have FU money. So that's what the mom was saying. So it was interesting for me that that was coming from the mom and not from Joyce, seeing that Joyce is, like, I would say, the younger, or like the modern version. She should have known these things. So yeah, that's my point.
Thank you so much, Comfort. She did come from money because I think her father helped Jonasi with a tender. I don't know if that's in the book or it's also in the series. I think I remember that. Mukibelo?
With me, for me, personally, I don't think Joyce was there for the money, because if you remember, like in one of the episodes where they were having a discussion about when Jonas was basically saying, you have everything that you have because of me. Joyce told her, every, like 50% of everything you own actually belongs to me. So I don't think Joyce was there for the money. Joyce was there because of social media. Like she was the face of marriage, basically. She was talking about her marriage all the time. I think like her being a married woman was actually her brand. I think she actually stayed in that marriage because of the brand. She knew if she leaves the marriage, then it destroys the brand that she actually built. I think the person who was kept there because of the money was actually Essie. Because if you can remember, Essie actually helped Jonasi get into university. And then when Jonasi got married to Joyce, he came back. When he came back, Essie was actually pretty much pissed. Like, you're married, I don't want you back, you're married. But then Jonasi gave her a car. Then now she was happy. Then he gave her a house. Then she was happy. And then now Jonasi was actually giving her a comfortable life that she probably wouldn't have been able to afford if it was not because of Jonasi. And also Matipa, I feel like she was, it was more of she wanted to progress in her career. As somebody who went to law school, I know how hard it is to actually grow in law. It's very hard. So she wanted to progress her career. And in progressing her career, she was actually dumb enough to actually fall in love with the womanizer, because she got the job she wanted. She got the promotion she wanted. She could have just stayed Ndimakazi, but she was like, I want the big fish. Jonas was the big fish for her, was the big fish. And when it comes to Jonas' behavior, guys, Jonas was a womanizer before he got the money. He had girls right like looking for him while he was actually with Essie. He was there saying, "Oh, Essie, I love you, I love you, I love you." Then there were girls, young girls, coming to actually see Jonas. Jonas was just, he was actually a womanizer from the get-go, just that his money gave him access to more women and actually better women. It's finally that thing where people will say that some men will start dating their type once they get money. So money gave him access to better women. I don't want to say better women because it's kind of like any other women, but you get what I mean. It gives them access to certain level, Yabasadi. So he gave him whatever. But I think his money did play a role. But when it comes to Joyce and I think more when it comes to Essie and also Lindani. Lindani was a young girl. She comes from a poor family, and then all of a sudden they're introducing her to 10-course meals that she knew nothing about. So to her, it was like, I'm getting access to this life that I actually never knew. So I think, yeah, that's my opinion on the whole thing.
Thank you, Mukibelo. You mentioned two things, ne? Matipa, now I'm of the view that Matipa actually got with Magesh because she knew Magesh was the brother. And so she wanted to work her way up there. And then also she reminded me of Afi from his only wife, right? Because she was the side, and then all of a sudden she's like, I want to be the main. Leave your wife, leave your wife, leave your wife. Or when are you gonna leave your wife? So yeah, it took me back to that book. Neo, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, guys. I wanted to actually say, when I raised my hand when Carol was speaking, because I wanted to say, actually, money did not reveal Jonasi's character. Jonasi was that person from jump. We saw him, Essie hiding those girls and all of, like, the biggest enabler in this whole thing was Essie and Magesh. Essie started enabling Jonasi from jump, like from zero. She was the person who enabled him. And then I think Magesh got roped into the enabling cycle much later as they progressed, because Magesh was the brother that didn't have the suave and the charisma to like finesse everybody into giving them whatever they wanted. So he became the second hand. He became the person who enabled Jonasi because he wanted, not out of love and out of the need for money, right? He got to a point where he started making his own money and saying, you know what, actually, this is why when Jonasi said to him, I'm firing you and whatever. And then when Jonasi went to him and said, please come back, he was like, no, I'm good, thanks. The only thing that brought him back was the fact that he loved his brother. It had nothing to do with money. By then he had collected his own money and he was good. He was happy. So that's the thing that I wanted to speak to. The fact that Jonasi did not become who he is because of money. If anything, money made him it allowed him to access pretty much all the other things he probably would have not accessed if it wasn't for money. He had the ability now to take your Lindanis to like your Durbans to his holiday home and to like 11-course meals, go Stellenbosch, you know, like all of those things. That's what money gave him. Other than that, he'd always been that guy. I think he was always going to be that guy, even without money.
Thank you, Nell. So I'd like to throw it back to and ask, I'd originally raised the question about what money has done to Black households, to the Black community. Would you like to expand on that?
Say that again.
No, I was saying to Nani, she had originally spoken about delving into the concept of money in the Black community, in the Black household. So I was just asking her if she would like to further expand on that.
Okay. Can I say something to that before Nani comes in? Or do you want Nani to go?
No, it's
Sure,
fine.
you
Go
can
for it. Go first.
No, you can.
Okay, here's the thing. We look at money and how people in this particular setting, how people relate to money, right? Jonasi was new money. Joyce was kind of old money. I don't think Joyce was like new money. She had lived she was raised comfortably, right? So to her, money was not like a big thing. Also, the other thing that I wanted to say is that I don't think she stayed in the marriage because of the brand alone. It was the brand plus her thinking this is for my children, plus her also thinking, what you call it, I need to be in I made a commitment and I need to see it through. It was one of those things. I think she really was in love, Shem. It was forever and for her. Like her staying with Jonasi was like, that was her man. She was not ready to leave him. And then with money, the pictures of money contrast and with Jonas's kids, Bumpume and Menzi, the way they related to money was much more relaxed in comparison to how Jonasi and his brother related to money. It didn't change the order of the day for them because they grew up with money. It didn't affect anything. This is why even when Magesh was calling them to order to say to them, hey, I need you to take care of your father's business. It's falling apart. It's gonna fall apart. Menzi was just like, he really couldn't be bothered. The only person who I think for me in that scenario had some kind of like emotional reaction to that, although it was not a one, it was more nuanced than that, was Sarah. Sarah was that kid who has been kicked to the side and had seen her father raising other children and whatever. So for her it was two parts. She wanted to finally be the worthy kid, or the worthy child, and also she wanted to have her own money, even if it meant like getting it from taking over, or rather inheriting her father's company type of thing. It wasn't just a straightforward thing for Sarah. It was more nuanced than that. So yeah, and what does this iPhone come with? iPhone comes with money, like it for Sarah it was double. It was more than just her wanting to make her father proud. It had more, it had so much more. It was a life for her, it was everything. So I don't think everybody in this whole scenario had a very different relationship to money. Magesh is the type of person who looks at generational wealth. Jonasi is the type of person who looks at flashy, what's in the moment, what's happening, what can I get, I don't think from the beginning he might have had that thing, I want to build a future for my children and for my family, but I don't think in the long run it was that. He's flashy, he lives in the moment. So yeah.
Thank you, Nemo. And we will do Nani and then Debo.
Okay, so I wanted, to touch on this topic because, and I think someone in the group, brought up something very important in terms of access. I think the minute you have access to that amount of money, it opens up so many opportunities for you. And the question is, are you going to be responsible with those opportunities or not? And then secondly, let's say you grew up as a boy, you grew up in an environment that was not so privileged. Financially, you were not doing so okay. Growing up, you were not much of a looker. You always see the pretty girls and the type of men that they go for. And you know that, what, there's no flipping way that type of woman would look at me. Then you go and you marry your Togo or your Dudu, you're working at a mail room. You're that guy, you're that guy. And then all of a sudden, you've got access to money, whether you worked for it or you got a tender, someone gave you an opportunity. And then now, you start seeing the opportunities, those doors opening. Those women you grew up looking at and thinking that that type of woman would never be with me, all of a sudden they are looking at you. And they're taking you seriously. Other powerful men are starting to take you seriously. I think it changes the whole ball game for you. And I think once you get to a level of that wealth, when you realize that everything and everyone has got a price, you start treating people in a certain way. Now, going back home, you were the wife that was married and was there, maybe let's say even before the money, when this guy was just an ordinary guy. There you are, you're trying to, raise your family, try to keep things together. And here's this new husband, and I'm going to call him a new husband because now he's doing new things. He's playing golf, he's busy, he's doing things that he was not doing before. What impact does that have to the family structure? Because now the man has got access to things that he never had access to. Now the man can access the dreams that he had as a boy. And those dreams might not necessarily feature you as the wife, So what do we do with the responsibility when it comes to having access to that money and what money brings into your life? So that's the type of, that's where I was coming from, Kgosi.
Went beyond the article of what was on screen and went deep.
I can't hear you. I don't know. Am I the only
And
one?
you guys
No, he's sort of static.
Oh, but that was at home and
No, Kgosi, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Okay. Maybe while he fixes the sound, I'll go. Where the issue of money is concerned, I believe that money gives you three main things, right? Power, freedom, and control. And it then boils down to what your human needs and your human wants are. Jonasi was wired with control. He wanted control, he wanted power, and that's what money gave him. He used that money to control because he was the epitome of he who feeds you controls you. And he was feeding so many people, and then he wanted to control because he was feeding them. I mean, we can hear the way that he speaks to Makesh with the way that he speaks to Essie. It is all about money. And then we're taking it down to the kids. Mpume just wanted a normal family, and she was comfortable with money. She didn't care about an iPhone. Whereas the iPhone girl, I'm forgetting her name now.
Sarah.
Yes, Sarah, thank you. Sarah wanted her dad. For me, when I look at it, she didn't really care too much about the money. She cared about she wanted her father. And all of these things that she was doing, was stealing the phones and going after Mpume's man, was literally exactly that, a cry for help. She wanted attention because she wanted attention from her father. She has daddy issues. I was looking at her and I'm like, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. She has daddy issues. She didn't really care much, but it was not money. Like the only person that used money in the story, and that makes it seem like money is such a big thing in communities. And it's not Jonas, because if you look at most families today in the reality, in the world that we live in, we have different classes, of course, but you see people who are deemed to be working class. They're very comfortable and they're very happy, and they've created peaceful lives living paycheck to paycheck because they understand what life is about, and they have created comfort within that discomfort. And people with extra zeros in their bank accounts, they dream of joy, they dream of happiness, because there's always somebody wanting something from them. It's always having many mouths to feed. It's always, when their phone rings, there's somebody asking for something. They don't know peace, they don't know joy, they don't know freedom. So when it comes to the issue of money doesn't change it. Yes, it gets you access, it takes you places, but it really speaks to the core of who you are. It's like being drunk. If you're a butthole when you're poor, you're gonna be a butthole when you're rich, just a clean butthole. If you're an inconsiderate person when you're broke, you're gonna be an even more inconsiderate person when you have money. You will just throw money at the solutions. You will use money as solution, as parenting, as taking care, because even as parenting, like Jonasi didn't even, there is not one child of his that I can point out and say this one he liked. He didn't like any of them. None of those. He didn't like anyone. Like Jonasi just liked himself, guys. He liked himself and this, and that's it. Like, and also this, it didn't matter where he got it from. Wherever he could get it, he took it. He was slapping chicks everywhere. I mean, he all he wanted to do was slap cheeks. Whether a woman was just peeing and not even done wiping, he wanted to slap those cheeks. Like that's all he did. So, and even if Jonasi was broke, he would have slapped cheeks. Kokasi, some of us come from collocation in Kokasi in the neighborhood. We know Jonasi babarekisang kospaza, guys. We know that. We cannot even pretend like we don't know them. We know them. Jonasi Otzamankates, or that old Cressida that is beat down. Mara wa mona gore ke Jonasi. with 100 rand or Jonasi 100 rand. We know them. So it's not a matter of money, it's a matter of character. Thank you.
Thank you, Tebogo. Ntombi?
For some reason, I saw a lot of psychological factors in the TV series. How money affects Black families, particularly let's say people who have a poor background. We see when Jonasi is ill and he needs to be taken care of, Umagesh takes Usara and Umenzi back to their childhood to show them what Babako came from this and worked his way up. It started making sense for me that there's something psychologically wrong with Jonas, which connects to the fact that he is a narcissist. And then we see that makes it very clear, but he uses imali as a tool to control abantu and to objectify women. And then another thing that I picked up was on the fact that poverty, also the way poverty affects women as well. I see it from Matipa. Matipa, something I'm learning today, that she wanted to succeed in her career. But if you check where she came from when Bampataleli Lobola, you could see from Ikaya like, oh, she doesn't come from money. She had to work for where she was, even if it meant that she had to use married men in the process, because it seemed like the way Mama Waike was interacting with her, it seemed like she was the type that didn't mess around with broke men. You see how she moved from Jonasi to minister. Like she would do anything. She just wanted to be with a man with money. It goes to Lindani as well, how she came from poverty. We see from the scene where she's speaking to her boyfriend, and he asked the boyfriend, do you think Vele one day we will get out of this like Kgosi and live in the suburbs? And then she finds an opportunity, which is unfortunately a Jonasi. You see it with Essie. She comes from poverty, and I think psychologically for her, she gave Jonasi that money, maybe with the mentality, he's going to get us out of Kgosi, or he's going to get us out of these circumstances. So let me give him this money, and then he's going to come back and marry me, and then we're going to live this happily ever after lifestyle. We see it even with Umagesh. I feel like there is some level of, but for him, it was more of the element of accountability evades a person with money. So if you are economically dependent on someone, they can do as they please. There's no one who's going to hold him accountable, because everyone is on survival mode. They need to make it, and this person has the key to that financially.
Thank you, Ntombi. Next is Zulu Auntie. You guys still can hear me, right? I'm not static.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Awesome. And then after you, it's Unati, and then we'll move on to the next question.
Yeah. I just wanted to say very, very quick. I think money does play a role. And I think in terms of Jonasi, it allowed him to be a present dad without being a present dad, without the responsibility of a present dad. And I think a lot of it is rooted in our history. I don't know how you guys were raised, but a lot of men in society, in our societies in South Africa, as long as that man is providing financially, he believes that he's doing the most, and that's something maybe deeper than what I'm going to say here. But like, I feel like Jonasi felt like he was doing the most because he had the money and he was providing for all of his children. And in the book, even he provides for all his kids. Hey, he's like a provider of note. He takes in all of his kids, the one that we know of, because I feel like there's many more that don't even get discussed in the book or in the Yes, not just in South Africa, that's so true. But my point is that, like, I believe that just the reality is that there's this notion and this belief that as a man, if you provide for your family, you are being a great husband and you are being a great father, and that's not true. So I think that's the element. It enabled him to be an absent dad.
A good man, Savannah. Guys, can you please stick to English words? We've got people joining us from outside the country, so they might not understand our local colloquial terms, just to be accommodating. Unati.
Actually, I wanna ask, how old was Jonasi? Because me thinking about the sexual activities that he was just engaging in, right? And there's no even one scene where it would say, no, the penis didn't do what it's supposed to do, you get? Because if we've discovered him like this, I'd assume, because his kids are grown, right? I'd assume he's in his late 40s to early 50s, right? And I do know that men in that age, obviously, they do encounter something with their health issues, especially down there. So it really brings questions to me when it comes to his sexual activities, because we didn't see him drinking imbiza or something that's going to lift up his manhood. We didn't see him partaking in any other things that are going to uplift him sexually, but he's always just like having this appetite, and there's no flaws. Because I'd think, because a lot of side chicks like Matipa, Lindani normally have those conversations where they like, old man, like literally sometimes you just sleep next to them and that's just it, or you just listen to them ranting about their wives and all of that, and we didn't discover that. And that's why I gave it at 8.5, because hey man, there's certain things that we didn't discover, because obviously this series gave us this illusion about Jonasi. They could have easily just like said, okay, let's go through and through with Jonasi and discover him more, especially when it comes to sexual health, because now they are selling us an illusion saying that old men can still continue, go on and on and on, which is, we know that that is not the reality. Please answer me, how old was Jonasi? Thank you.
Okay, this is a question that I was like, it frazzled me, right? Because in episode 1, when they're given the divorce papers say Joyce is a 1975 and Jonasi is a 1974. And if it's in present day, that would mean that they are 50 and 51. But then there's a scene where there's a birthday cake and it's saying he's 45. So, hey, the age ranges really confuse me. And the interesting fact is that Gugu Gumede, who acts as Joyce, is actually only 35 years old, you know? And I think she pulled off, but they always make her act older characters. Even at Uzalo, she was acting as a woman in her 50s and she was like 26, 27. So we're working with an age of 45 and 50, somewhere there. Sure. Okay. Lerato, and then I'll ask my next question.
Hi guys. I just want to the question, what's the role of money in the black community? There's somewhere in the movie where Joyce tried to set the house on fire, and then Matipa went to report in the police station and she got arrested. Jonas said that we don't wash our dirty linen in public. So I think, I don't know, I think for me, as much as Jonas comes from that background, but he learned something from from Joyce's father. Joyce and Jonas, they kind of people that have been taught about how to behave as someone or people that have money. Obviously, you are fluent now. There's a certain way that you have to behave, and but that's different, the opposite from Matipa. She does not have that background. You know, she's trying to climb that ladder. So now I think Jonasi is trying to teach her, I must say in a way, that we hide our stuff. No one's supposed to know. It's some sort of a PR thingy. I made this thing about, you know, like we have in our country, like the Springboks, they have this kind of a PR. You don't know much about what is happening in their lives, personal lives. They have this PR that is a family, you know, family sport. Whereas when it comes to soccer, we know this one is doing that, that one is Jonas. And I think we've seen recently in this publicized divorce, they tried to make sure that they don't wash much of their dirty linen in particular. They don't lose that PR. So I would say it's a sort of not having access. We don't have access as black people. The moment we have that, as someone said before, you go to the kind of the type of the girls that you want because you never had that access as you were younger. But if you can have, like saying that we even financial literacy at home, you teach your at school, like in that life orientation, kids are taught how to behave when you have money, how to make sure you conduct yourself. Maybe things will be different. But I saw that in that movie, they try to push that thinking, even with that reunion. Matipa didn't think that the men would come, but Jonas is very, you know, he has that background of being thought there must be this public image that the lady is not there yet, Matipa. She wants to be there, but she's not there yet. Official Joyce and she has been taught this is how you behave. This is how everyone does not see in the in our family. We're going through this stuff. Even during the I'm sorry, I'm almost done. Even during the press, I think it's a press conference or PR, whatever, she's an ambassador, right? As I say, Matipa does not understand this kind of a PR. Joyce even tried. I mean, if it was someone else, maybe I would have lost it. But then Joyce tried to maneuver things so that people can, you know, can have that image still, even though there's the picture of the twins that has been posted. But then she was like, you know what? Let me, because she's trained, she has that experience. So if as a black community, I know it's not right to Oma isn't. I'm sorry, I don't know how to like to hide things, but if we can, because white people do that in the white community, it is done. Someone can just it's there are ways of being told you must be this image, but for us we're not there yet. Thank you.
I think Kgosi is having trouble with audio.
Yeah.
The guy.
Yeah,
The guy
you
can
can go.
go.
Okay. For me, if we say Jonas had more access because of the money, for me, the argue is that he has always been the guy who, as there was said, that is not. There are more Jonases in the township, even though they drive the small cars. Jonas knew that he had to come out of the township, even though his aim was to make his life better. So then the women came to, not to say to distract him, but they came to say that plus it's add more to my success. And the money also being that he could buy anyone, he could go anywhere. Playing golf, said that's also one of the things that when he played golf, obviously got that access. For me, Jonas, that's what I'm saying. Jonas in the show is a womanizer. He goes around seeing every woman, and for me, how I could say is that that's what I said, that we should not we should rectify or shame such people, not to praise them and say you are Jonasi, because that was one of the things that when we see our Jonas, some people, even the women, would say, but also me, I would allow Jonas to come in my life because of the money. And we should also start saying that when a guy like that, because there's also the same issue of Taviso, the one that was trending, not recently. And I mean, it can also adapt that they needed, the money was only for the support, but they were going to cheat, even though that there was no need of money. I mean, 100 and more from that guy that was trending recently. So then the idea maybe of him needing the money and the access, it's not something that was, but it was one of the main factors of it. And of the shaming, saying that we must not put our dirty laundries in the streets. That one I do support, because you must understand that that's why there's a saying that we fix things in the family with the elders being involved, the people who are advising us what's supposed to be there. So one of the things that when Matipa posted to say that during the launch where he was saying that the second wife, they first talked about it, but she wanted to share to embarrass Joyce in for the launch, so that her launch could fall and all that. So then the idea of shaming, putting our dirty laundries in the thing was supposed to be there, in terms of that's where white people do the same thing. There should not be different minds to say that black people, that idea was should actually remove in our minds, because they are also have shame in themselves, where they are things, the problem that they do not rely on social media, or probably they do go on social media, but we don't see it because our For You page will not show an Afrikaners fighting and bending each other, but they do have those kind of things. But we should be better, not to actually put our things on the dirty laundry. But other than that, that one should actually state that we should, let's not share our things publicly, actually. But white people also do the same thing. Let us not degrade ourselves as black people, but they do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ditebogo. Am I still static?
No, we can hear you.
You're fine now.
Sorry, guys, you have my network today. I'm at home, not at my place, so I'm seeing flames. Okay, I have dropped the next question in the next chat. So the people who had their hands raised wasn't in relation to the question that I had dropped in the chat.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tepiso, you are next, I guess.
Hi, thank you so much. You guys can you hear me?
Yes.
So first of all, I want to say thank you so
Yes.
much for this opportunity. This is my first time joining a group like this. I'm calling in from Chicago. So it's been very interesting to listen to the discussion. I actually read the book a couple of months ago, before I even knew that there was going to be a series coming on Netflix. So it was just such a good timing. I think because I had just read the book maybe 2-3 months before the series came out, I couldn't help but compare. So I really didn't get to enjoy the series as much as everyone did, because I was just comparing, and it's always very difficult to get into something when you're comparing. But nonetheless, I think, to answer to the question in the chat, but also a general comment also, what I found when I was reading the book and just watching the series and hearing all the conversation that's happening is the story holds a mirror to our societal ills, right? But what I wonder also is it also holds a mirror to us personally. I think a lot of the discussion that I've been hearing talks about external factors. I haven't heard anyone saying, another story made me think about my own personal experience, that time when I was in such and such a thing, right? Because some of us have stayed a little bit longer than we should have in relationships that were not working. And when you see a story like this, it's easy to say, it would never be me. I'll never be a Joyce. Matipa, what kind of girls are Matipa? So it's always very easy to point a finger and say, I will never be someone like that. But if we were to be truthful, the reason that, the story resonated and hit a nerve is because a lot of us, it held a personal mirror to us, to our own personal stories and things that we need to reckon with. So it made me reflect a lot on like scenarios that I'd found myself, and I was like, what the hell was I thinking? And how easy it is to find yourself in certain scenarios. So I like the fact that it made people reflect, and I think that is a power of good storytelling, when people can reflect not only on societal ills, but our own participation in, the societal issues that are being reflected in the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Tepiso, for joining us all the way from Chicago.
Yes.
Nice. Unati?
Okay, let's go again. So I'm answering the question in the chat right now. So in terms of the woman, first thing first, the scene where we see Joyce going to Essie's house and have a sit down with Essie and asking Essie that how does she deal with Magesh's cheating, things like that, right? We then discover who they really are as people individually. Because now we then see that Essie is a person who's true to self. How so? Because Essie, when we watch the whole series, right, Essie has her bantams, right? But she knows who her husband is, right? And she also knows that, my husband is not reliable enough to love me alone or things like that, or to give me attention alone. And she's true to the reality that they've built with Jonasi. She's true to the lies that they've built in other people's eyes. She kept that lie for 20 years. That means that she's very true to herself. Like, okay, this is my truth now, or this is what we are about in my family, and I'm going to continue with it, and that's just it. And she's not bothered that Jonasi is sleeping with other people. But Joyce is very delusional. Why do I say so? Joyce, you find her in situations where like the kids know what is happening. Dad is treating mom like this. This is happening. But Joyce wakes up, randomly decides, we're going to do our renewals. Everyone should act accordingly. Yes, at the back of her mind, maybe she's thinking, no, I'm protecting my family. This is for my kids. This is for my appearance with my family, things like that. But that shows how delusional she is. You get me? And then we go to Matipa. Matipa is a go-getter. Matipa is a go-getter. We see the scene where Magesh introduces Matipa to, who's this? Joe. And you can tell that, okay, what she got from that introduction is that, okay, that means Jonasi also allows these side chicks. He also lives a life of side chicks, because how can you tell me that your brother is going to introduce his side chick to you and you won't be shocked? Jonasi was never shocked, right? So Matipa was like, okay, this is the one who has the money and I'm gonna get him. And she did just that, right? It's just that now she lost herself when she was in the relationship. She lost the plot because now she wants to be the main one. She gets pregnant, dugu dugu. But also you can tell that she also fell in love with this guy because at some point where they were having like problems in their relationship, she then said, I'm going to show Jonasi that I can get someone who's bigger than him. And she went for who? She went for the minister. She's a go-getter and she gets what she wants, right? And then we go to who else, Konje? Lindani. Lindani is another young, naive go-getter, right? And we don't spot that enough because she's not really given the screen time that much. But you can tell, even the boy that she's dating with, he's handsome, you know, and he gives her attention because you see at the parties, she gets the attention. She loves this guy, right? But when Menzi gives her attention and all of that, she mocks Menzi, right? But she mocks Menzi with letting him what she powerfully wants or what she wants. She wants a man who owns things. She wants a man who's capable enough to take care of her. And even in the conversation that she has with her friends, she just tells them that, no, I won't die in Soweto. You can tell that she wants to go forward in life, and she has this big dreams, and she's seeing this. Like, remember, Mpume is her friend. She sees Mpume like every day. She sees this lavish lifestyle, and then she goes back to her to her mother's tavern. Obviously, every kid is gonna want something like that in future. And then when we go to Mpume is just like a girl who's just into her studies, who's just like, she's not even about to impress nobody. She's just going, but she's very disappointed towards her mother, Joyce. Very disappointed. And then we go to Sarah. Sarah is exactly her father's daughter. Why do I say so? Yes, she kept the lie. She kept the lie because she was still young. Maybe she didn't know how to defend herself. But as soon as now she's pushing for the traditional ceremony and all of that, then you start to see how she is as a character. She's just pushing and she wants to do things on her own. Yes, someone can say that was a cry for help and all of that. But you then see, Sarah is her father's daughter. She wants things to be done her way. And she wants this attention. And she's not going to give up until she gets this attention. And then, yeah, those are Joyce's mother. Oh, Sana. Joyce's mother is Swatini. It's just an African woman, guys. Like, literally, she's trying to protect Joyce with the thing that she what is it, the money thing. I don't remember the word, right? She tried to protect Joyce when it comes to that, where she says, I wish I had done this before your father died, or something like that, or before whatever happened between your father and I, right? But also she's also like saying to Joyce, no, like, dress feminine enough, things like that. She's trying to be there for her daughter, but also she's trying to be the one who's helping the daughter also to build this home that she's seeing is literally breaking and breaking. So I think those are the women in the series. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Unati, for the deep dive analysis. I must bring you onto my platform and you must do some of my TikToks for me. Mukibelo.
When it comes to the woman, for me personally, I think he touched on a lot of things, because first we're going to talk about Joyce's mother, right? So when we grow up, like most of us, like black girls and whatever, when we grow up in families where they will tell you, oh, men are like that, especially when it comes to the issue of cheating. Men are infertile, like they cannot control their edges. So you're literally told from like when you grew up that, oh, you know how men are. Men are like that. So you kind of taught like, men cheating, it's in men's nature to actually cheat. And I think with growing up, and then now there's feminism, and women are starting to hold men accountable. And with that comes another problem where people say that there's this thing women usually say when they actually want another woman's man, that I'm not the one who actually made the vows. I didn't vow to be with you forever. He's actually the one who's breaking the vows. While at the same time, you are there assisting that man to hurt the other woman, but they say, oh, I didn't make the vows. It's not my fault. I didn't make the vows. He actually made the vows. So it's not my fault that he's actually breaking his vows. Now I'm just there. And with women like Matipa, now Matipa Mborile, I was bored by Matipa because Matipa was a to elevate her career. Miguel, you are elevating your career. You get that big position. Then after that, when you decide oh, you're an exception. When now especially he's not going to do to you what he actually did to Joyce, you decide to fall in love. And even then, you actually decide to fall pregnant on top of that. Like those women, now they annoyed me. The only person I couldn't be mad at was Lindani because she's a child. And I feel like it's unfair to actually blame her. She's a child, she's impressionable, and this is a man. He actually, personally, I think she was the victim. I think the only victim in the story was Lindani because she was a child. So we can't really blame children when it comes to such issues. Then there's Essie, at least I could say at least Essie got some D outside. She was not there being hungry and stuff. So at least she decided, you know what, this man ain't giving me D, so I'm just gonna go get it somewhere else. At least she actually thought about herself at some point. But they were all dumb. I feel like I actually, for me personally, the woman I respect, give me Matipa. Matipa's mother, I actually respect her because she actually, like, oh, you know what, this is bullshit. This whole thing is actually BS. What Matipa was doing, it was wrong. You came into this family, she as a child. Now you're actually marrying into this nonsense, basically. She's the only person I could say, okay, Shab, I could respect her because even though she was poor, she actually didn't let Jonas's money actually blind her. She actually was honest about the whole thing. But other than that, all those women, Nani judge, I actually judged all of them. I don't have a mirror to reflect on because I don't think I'm that. Okay, maybe because I'm still young, maybe in future, but right now, now I have no mirror to look at. That's not me. That's not me.
Thank you. Ditebogo, you're next.
Thank you. I think, in my opinion, when it comes to all these women, when it comes to relationships and matters of the heart, we date to the level of our self-worth. And, self-worth is a very personal thing. We allow these people to treat us because the way that they treat us because we think we deserve it. And we think this is as good as it gets. Joyce could have left at any time, but she didn't because being married validates her as a woman. Being Mrs. So and so validates her. Matipa thought she is the one that is going to change Jonasi. I mean, how dare she? And we do have women who think like that. They in their minds, he won't do that to me. And what I'd struggle to comprehend is it's not a matter of he won't do that to you. He's going to do it because that is who he is. It's not about you, it's about who he is. And we think we can change these men. Now these jokes write themselves. When it comes to Essie, also didn't think she deserved much. She never thought she could do better. You can actually see with the side guys for Essie, come on. Like, come on with it. Girl, what are you doing? You're better than this. But they don't think that they're better than that. And it's we judge women harshly because we as women know what we're capable of. We as women know that, I mean, okay, with the exception maybe of Mukibelo, in some way or another, maybe not to a larger extension, we've all been a Joyce, we've all been an Essie, we've all been a Matipa, we've all thought we were the one at some point, or we were the ones that been left and coming back, and we thought, and we said to ourselves, oh, he keeps coming back because he loves me so much. I'm the one, I'm the one, I'm the one. We are all delusional, and the thing is, we get into relationships being full or wholesome as individuals, but these men change us. They change how we look at the world. They change how we show up in the world. That's why women after divorce become hotter and better. It's because they are becoming who they are. They are returning to themselves. We want to please these women. There's something about us women. We are wired to believe that whatever a man wants, we must provide and accept, and whatever they want us to do, we must do. Whatever they think, we must believe. Whatever they tell us is the gospel. Even when they are bull nonsensing us, we want to believe it because he's the man and he actually chose me. We are so desperate to be picked that we settle for nomayini. We settle for the bottom of the barrel because we just want to be picked. No woman wants to be alone. It validates us as women. And whoever taught us this, I need a meeting with them in the bathroom for 5 minutes. We need to understand that a relationship does not, or being married does not make a woman whole. We need to find a wholeness before a man, so that when that man comes and he's nonsensical, we remain on our feet. But all these women in the story made Jonasi the heel. Okay, Jonasi was the heel for all of these women, and I'm sorry, maybe when it comes to Lindani, I don't buy the whole she was a child. She knew what she was doing. That girl was just too smart. She was cunning. She was calculating. She knew exactly what she was getting into, because Menzi would have given that girl the world. Menzi would have gone to the ends of to the crust of the earth for that girl. And what did he do? He said, no, I want your dad. I don't want you. You're a baby. I want your father. And a girl who thinks like that knows. And we as women know how quickly we mature and how much we know what we know and how quickly we know what we know. So she knew what she was doing. That thing, she was just a child. She was the same age as Mpume, more or less. So she knew how there's no victim there. She made choices and then she got into the situation that she got into. That's why she ended up giving a man a shower who shut on himself. So there was no victim. Everybody volunteered to be part of the pain and part of the suffering and part of everything. Everybody was just volunteering. And we judged them harshly because low key, we know we would have done it too. So at some point, we know it. We know it. That's why we are so harsh. Thy who protest too much. We know it. Girls, come on.
Bafazi.
I disclosed at the beginning. I've been both. I disclosed.
I respect you, Gani. I have so much respect for you. Listen, we know it. We know it.
Nani, we need a story time. Leah.
My story is too pathetic. I'm not even going to tell it in this platform. No way.
We need to create a safe space and we need to be anonymous. You will see a lot of Joyces,
Get
a
that
lot of
mirror that I was
Matipas, a
talking.
lot of Essie.
I
Everybody's
personally
going to pop. A lot of Lindani. Everybody's going to pop up. Make this anonymous. You'll be surprised.
I'm sorry to just button like this. I'm sorry. I need to hear Ntombi's story. Ntombi has stories upon stories. That's all I want.
She must do a story time on TikTok. I'll repost. Leah, you're next.
Is it me or another Leah?
No, it's you. You're the only one here.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Hey,
Hello.
okay. So allow me to crash out because what the heck about these three women, in the words of Tyler? Jesus.
Not four.
Oh, I am so mad about the three women. I won't even start with the last one. What was her name? The young one that everybody is saying, oh, she's so young. Yes. Oh, let me breathe first. Let's
Okay,
start with the first wife.
Where are you from, Leah?
This is Teacher Leah from Kenya.
Okay, there's like three other Kenyans on the call.
Oh, hi, everyone. Okay, so, okay, let me start with, what's her name? The first wife.
Joyce.
Joyce. Joyce was, okay, first of all, I think Joyce had an ego. And the one thing that I've learned about this whole series is that behind every narcissistic man, there's an enabler. There's a woman who's holding him and his stupidity and his evil and his audacity together. Always. Now, in this case, this man had four. Let me say three, because this last one is not an exception, but let me just leave her out of this conversation. First of all, Joyce had a serious ego problem. And I want to say this because I get it. She was the first one. In her head, she was the first one. I totally get where she's coming from. She was the first wife. She met this man in college, from what I gathered, and she was able to sort of like build him, because she kept on reminding him how she's the reason why J&J is what it is now. But her ego to win, to be the last woman standing, she deserves everything she got. The moment that second woman, I forget her name, not Essie, she called Matiba. Matipa, that one. The moment that woman came in, the point at which they even got a house, like this man literally left her home, went and built or bought a house for the other woman, moved in with her. Then she had the rest to go burn that house, get arrested. And then on top of that, this man walks into her house and asks her for forgiveness. And the only thing she could do was make sure that Matiba lost her job. Like that was the ultimate for her. The ultimate was that she was the last one standing, that she won. That this man, and he was so mid. He was so mid. What was great about this man? Maybe it was the sex, because what was there? The money. I think it was the sex. It must have been the sex, because what was it about that man? His head was weird. He looked funny. He just wrecked. Then they're there fighting for him, and that is the time I realized I don't feel sorry for her anymore. The moment that man went back into her house, up to the point at which she discovered that he had made Matipa pregnant, she was okay. She was perfectly fine. She was okay masquerading in this marriage, to the point that she was willing to have a 20-year anniversary with a man who was not living in her house, just so she can be called Mrs. She can be called the Mrs. That was the only thing that was keeping her there. So after that whole incident of her getting Matipa fired and everything, I stopped feeling sorry for her. I was like, this one is here primarily to just be called the original, the OG wife, the real housewives of JJ, or whatever she wanted to be called. That was her only intention. Like, I'm the one he left with. I am willing to bring in another woman just so I can be the matriarch of this household. I really wish she had gotten HIV. I honestly, I was just mad at her all through and through. The second woman, Essie, that one now is the idiot of idiots. That one should have been given an Oscar for just being stupid. 19 years. You slept with a man. He gave you a child, and the child is hidden for 19 years in the ghetto. He buys you just a fancier house in the ghetto. He leaves you where you belong. He comes and visits you in a Bentley. And you're there, oh, my daughter, just wait for the man. He's going to come and take care. That one even should have gotten HIV. And should have gotten like the syphilis of the head. She's stupid. That one, she's stupid. I'm judging her. She was my worst character in this series. She was the worst. She did her child wrong. She did her child dirty. Her baby deserved did not deserve this. That child is going to grew up with daddy issues, being hidden. And the worst part is that she would expose her child to them. She could have easily just stayed where she was, and she would never have met this other family. Why was she taking her kid to these events? For her child to see this other life that she will never live with a man who will never acknowledge her. Just so she can feel like she's part of. It's a good thing he was treating her like a toilet because she was one. Shame on her. That one was the worst character out of the three. Then now there's this other Matipa. Now that one, people are saying that she's strategic, but I think she was downright evil. In a world where we do understand, it's not right, but we do understand the dynamics of a mistress. The role of a mistress is to sit like a rat in the corner of that house. What was this need she had to become the first wife? What was this need she had that she had to take everything from this other crazy woman who we already admit is crazy? What was this need she had to become, I have to be the first wife? What was this need for her to edge out everybody? She just had the same ego problem as the first wife, that I have to be the ultimate real housewives of Jonasi. I'm the real housewife. Everybody else is just nobody. Let me go and get him twins. Then he's going to love me and he's going to put me in this big house. Let me go bend my behind in his office so that he can make me head of compliance. And then all that was for what? I was actually thinking, oh, you know what? She's doing all this for her career. It wasn't for her career. She went and stayed home. I was like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? Like, so all this was for what? So I can go live in a fancy mansion. I thought she was going to become like the head of compliance. I was kind of actually hoping that all this stupidity she's doing is so that she can become like the vice president of J&J. Oh, all this was for Real Housewives of Jonasi. I'm the first wife. No, you're the second. No, you're the third. Oh my God, I'm the third. I'm the second. That was her issue. And then after all that, she leaves those kids behind. Again, I'm here because of these children. Why did she leave those kids behind? The children were such collateral damage to the stupidity and evil of these women. I was so sad for those kids. All of them, including Freedom, who by then I found was very hot. I didn't understand why he wasn't the son to them. I found like he was very good looking. At least for him, they would be fighting. I'd be like, okay, makes sense. This one should have been Jonasi. What was that ugly thing that they? No, I'm not in any way saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying it didn't make sense for me. And then let's finish with this Langi, the lady, the last one. I think she was called. I keep forgetting her name. Then yes. I think in this whole game, I think she's the only one who got something. At least, look, she's inherited even the child. She's actually going to be now J, and she's actually going to be the OGJ because she's going to be the first wife of the son. At least even she's gotten something. These women, including her mother, who I don't even want to discuss because she also played a part in what she became, this young girl became. Exposing her to the bar, to the tavern, making her work there and, reach out to these men in the hopes that they'll give her a better life. She was pretty much conditioned. So that's why when she saw Jay, that's all she thought. It was a ticket out of this misery that my life is. But let me leave her alone because, again, I still think of her as a child. She was 19. I think she was 18. She was 19 because I think she was the same age as the other children. These three women, because they were so male-centered, they have done irreparable damage to their children for a mid-man. And then the worst part that pissed me off about this whole story is the fact that after all that, they took care of him when he was sick. They were fighting to take care of this HIV-infested man when he was sick. He's shitting himself and you're fighting to bring him soup after he has treated you poorly for 20 years. This is the time they should have been beating him. At least we should have gotten some bit of, stab him. Like the diary of a mad black woman. Like, throw him outside and parade him naked. Laugh at him. Like, they could have come together, beat him slaps every day. They're like fighting. Please give him his soup. He likes this is his favorite soup. Stupid. This man died in a nice bed. He slept peacefully and died. They even did a birthday for him, for heaven's sake. Like, birthday, he was blowing candles outside in alone. After 20 years, these women had been beaten. These women, they were the worst. Actually, this was a book. These women were the antagonists. The same like that man.
So who was the
women?
protagonist?
All of them, the three of them were the antagonists. The children were the only victims in this whole series. Everybody else, I'm telling you, I wish even that gonorrhea would have done something for them. Even they deserve it. They were so stupid, all three of them. And it's so sad that, as someone said, that it's a mirror of society. It's not my mirror. I will never do this. I'm sorry. I'm judging them. I am judging them. And I pray that whoever watches this show, it becomes an example to girls to never fall for such nonsense. Because yes, it's a mirror, it's true, because I guess the power and the JJ and the OG wives is a thing that is still present in our days. But these women, all three of them, for me, I'm exempting the last girl. All three of them were disappointing. That is the end of my rant. Thank you.
Okay, so to everybody who hasn't joined our book club meetings, Teacher Leah will come, drop a bomb, and then she won't say anything for the rest of the meeting. When you say the women were antagonists, I actually thought about that point, and I was like, I actually think Jonas is the protagonist here in the story, and the women are the antagonists, because they're trying to stop him from his mission, and he's on a mission, you know. He wants to make himself happy. Zulu Auntie, you've been waiting so patiently. The mic is yours.
I think there's a lot that's been said that I won't repeat. But I think for me, I'm going to take us back to how to rectify things in society. So for me, I always find it weird that I think in every African culture, there's always the elderly woman saying to the new wives or wives to be Begazal, you know, like in a marriage, you have to persevere and you have to stay for nonsense, in essence. And I think Mama Grace, I think there was a missed opportunity there. I wished in the series there was a moment, because she says it in like briefly to say, no, like I should have done this, blah, blah, blah. I wish, what's the name? Joyce was more curious to ask her mom, what did you mean by that? You know, how did my dad show you flames in your marriage? Why are you saying that? And for her, as Mama Grace, to Joyce to say, hey girl, you know what? These men, Batla heard, they will hurt you, they will break your heart and all of that, but also they will leave you in the dust, having done all the things traditionally of a wife, what is expected of a wife and of a woman. They will still do whatever they want to do. I just wish in the series there was more speaking into that, speaking to the fact that we are dealing with a broken people. And as women, we cannot keep saying to each other generationally, so intergenerational conversations need to happen, I believe. But we can't keep saying to the younger woman, hey, in a marriage, you begazal, you persevere and you stay and you stick to stuff and all of that. It's like, no, we need to actually call people accountable, you know, and we cannot carry on perpetuating the same routine, the same thing, you know what I mean? And we are the elders now, like, okay, so I just turned 30 last month, so maybe I'm not the elder, but I'm still like, I look at myself and I'm like, yo, I've been a Pume, I haven't been a Joyce, and I will never be a Joyce. Don't hold me accountable, guys, but I'll never be a Joyce. But I've been a Pume and I've been raised by Joyce. And I've seen how with Joyce's, how they stay because what Banbazotini basically means, what will people say? You know, and Joyce kept saying that in the series, which I thought was brilliant from the producers and everyone, to just keep hunting that. What will people say? What will people say? What will people say? Because a lot of us, a lot of people in society, a lot of women are so prisoned by that. And I'm just really hoping that as a society, as a people, as African people, that we look at ourselves with a mirror here to say, okay, but what are we going to tell the next generation? We are the adults now. Yes, we've seen what has been said from the elders that we were raised by, but what are we going to say to the next generation? Because we cannot keep allowing Jonasi to carry on, for Matipas to carry on, for Joyces to carry on, for Lindani's to carry on. What are we going to do? What do we do after this? Because that for me I feel like it was a missed opportunity from the production team. That's why I gave them a 9 and not a 10. Because I feel like there were so many missed opportunities that they could have just be teaching and be punting things. And I guess looking at how we do culture as African people, to look at it and say, we need to stop this. This stops with us. The buck stops with us at the end of the day. So yeah.
Thank you, Zulu Auntie. And when as I'm looking at you, I can't just stop thinking about Entle, the actress. I'm sure you've heard this before. Dinero?
So I think what I wanted to say, Leah covered everything, and her crash out were my crash out, But I think my biggest thing was Essie. Out of all the women, what I took note of from Joyce is she loved her kids and she protected her kids. Even though Jonasi would come and and harass Menzi and call Menzi is yo and all of those things, like a weak man. Somehow Joyce was able to protect her son in a way, But when it came to Essie, Jonas made who's this freedom while he was young. And as Africans and as Zulu, when you marry somebody, you marry them with their child, and then you become a father figure to that child. They both felt freedom so bad, and that's why freedom turned to alcohol, because nobody cared about freedom. He was basically a second-class citizen in that entire family, and he was not regarded at all. And I think that's why I had a problem with Essie, that she was so male focused, she was so Jonas focused that she neglected her kids. Why couldn't she fight for Sarah to be in the same school that Mpume was in? Why couldn't she make sure that, okay, I'm a secret, I get it, but make sure that my kids are taken care of, or they receive the same treatment as your kids? But yeah, that was my 2 cents.
You are muted,
You're
Kgosi.
on mute.
Sorry, I was saying before I give Nani the mic, Nani, please infuse the point you had about the wigs, and then let's aim to close off at 9:30.
Okay, so I think we need another session. We need a crash out session, because I want to crash out like Leah. I'm jealous. I want to crash out like Leah. But yeah, I even forgot what I wanted to say, because Leah just took us somewhere. But in terms of the weaves, Kgosi, I don't know if I'm the only one, but okay, most of my life, I wouldn't say I wear weaves. Once in a while, I'll go through a weave, a weave phase. I'm more of a short hair kind of girl. But one thing that I've noticed now that I'm again back onto my weave phase is the criticism that we have towards each other's weaves or hair, right? And one of the highlights in terms of the criticisms that came out from the Polygamist is how bad the wigs are in the production. And like I said previously, I find it very interesting that we can be so critical towards each other's weaves as women. And this is hair that does not even belong to us. You know, this is someone else's hair that we put on our heads that we're very critical of. So I think perhaps it's time as Black women, we had a serious dialogue around this hair situation, because we criticize each other about this hair, we compare each other's hair, we talk about price. Oh, this one is cheap, this one is expensive. Oh, you can see this one is virgin hair. Oh, this one is like this. And we put so much emphasis and self-worth with this hair that we are buying that belongs to someone else, and we're investing so much. I think there has to be some type of a dialogue around this hair matter. You know, how do you guys feel, the other women on the platform, in terms of the topic around hair?
I'm opening the floor up to Bafazi. Leah, Tebogo, Mokebelo, Unati, in that order. And then I think I'll ask our closing question and we'll wrap up. Go, Leah.
All right. I think I just wanted to add on to the conversation around children. I think that it's very unfair for anyone to say that any of these women cared about their kids. And I think that's the problem with these male-centered women. These kids were constantly coming in second in every decision that they were making. I want to strongly argue against that, any of them, including, why am I forgetting their names? The OG of the first wife of that one, J&J. All of them were not considering these kids. And I want to give from a perspective of the son, Joyce's son. The reason why I feel like she did not protect them is because Joyce's son sat there and watched all these things that his dad was doing. Nobody ever talked to him. Nobody ever explained to him that love is not supposed to look like this. Nobody. And that's why he could not fathom how this last lady was refusing or not acknowledging him as a potential partner. And you can tell that I think that the ending of that series was just a representation of that children are very good at seeing, and when they see, they do. This boy loved his dad regardless, even when they were having small problems. When you're telling me that she was protecting them, there are so many incidences in those series when her daughter will tell her, like, look, mom, why are you going back to him? Why are you allowing him to do all these things? And she'll just be like, oh, I'll always protect you. How are you protecting your children when they're sitting down to watch and witness you being treated like trash? This girl is understanding love from the perspective of a broken family. There's no protection there. The only protection would have been that, look, this man has played me. The first time when Matipa came into this conversation, she should have left. That is when I realized there was none of them was thinking about the kids. None of them. All three of them. This the other incident that I want to talk about is when you see, like, during even the that's why I was saying the boy just witnessed the dad being an absolute asshole the whole time. He was there to witness everything. And the mom would constantly just come in and be like, oh, don't fight your dad. Oh, don't do this. These women had centered this man so much that they did not care for these children. The only thing that she wanted at the end was for her children to get the inheritance. That was it. There was nothing else about any of them other than the money. And that's why it's so sad that even at the end of this story, you can tell that this boy was, again, in the cycle. He's probably going either to end up like the dad or maybe even worse. We don't know, because it's always either the child becomes like the parent or becomes a complete opposite. But all these kids, even the girl, when the girl decided to leave the house, when someone says that they're protecting, when the girl decided to leave the house, the mom let her, allowed her to stay outside for months on end, that the child came back for her launch of the book. And that was the first time that she was seeing her after a long time. This girl just went to live by herself with friends and went to college and never came back. And that's protection. These women were all bad. And then after all that, I even remembered my last crash out. They were fighting for his body when he's dead. They're like, oh, I'm going to bury him. No. I'm going to bury him. Okay, you bury him, but I'm going to sit at the front. This woman who abandoned her children came for the burial of this man just so she can sit there again and become the real housewife of Jonasi. These women, let me just stop because let me just stop. Please pass the mic to someone else.
You need to come to book club, Tijalia Tebogo.
Yes.
Thank you. When it comes to the hair conversation, two things or three things for me, maybe. The first one, the biggest problem with Black women's hair is Black women thinking their hair is a problem. And because you keep thinking your hair is a problem, there will never be a solution for as long as we look at it that way. Number two, I am not a weaver person. I've dreadlocks. I have natural hair. I've never subscribed to the weave business, and I don't want to offend anyone because I don't know the proper language to address this. Because with the series, that was a true reflection of reality of the reality that we live in even today. You will see a weave that is sideways, like you don't know what just happened. Why is it facing that way? Is it supposed to look like that? And then there's this new thing here, peanut butter. Like, why do we have peanut butter on our foreheads, Bafazi? What's up with that? Like, because it's not natural, nobody will ever get it right. You'll get it right. I've seen women say, I'm just coming from an install. Day one, day two, you're like, where is that? Where's the install? I see the in. Where's the stall? Like, what happened? There's always something off. Number three, most of the time, women say there's this conversation between women do this to appease these men. I'm yet to meet a man who will say, "Oh, I love that weave, girl. Oh, I love those edges. You laid them nice. I've never ever in my life, maybe I'm yet to meet. I've never met a man who likes these things and who enjoys them. So we have to be honest and say, ladies, when we do these things, we do them for ourselves and we are not getting it right. And that is why the critic is always women against women, because you do it for each other. We do it for each other. We do it because you wanna one up Sophie wako office wako 11th floor, or you wanna one up wako back up. It's always it's a woman. It's a competition that women have amongst. We have our. I say we, but I'm not a. I say we because I'm a woman. It's a competition that we have amongst ourselves, and if we can just, if it's possible, if it were to be possible to strip ourselves away from all of that and embrace how we naturally are, yeah, the beauty you're going to discover. But this is a conversation for another day, another session, because who am I to tell a woman not to wear her weave? But if you're going to wear it, try to get it right. Everything we saw on the Polygamist, that's what we see in these buildings, in these stores, in our everyday life. You look at a woman, you're like, girl, why is a feta duster on your head? Why? What is the reason? Our hair is not a problem. We treat it like it's a problem and we don't have a solution for it. And that's where my issue is when it comes to these weaves. And it's also about budget. I feel like production cannot invest enough huge budget into hair when they had that talent. Those actors needed to get paid. The majority of the budget had to go onto those trailers. For those who have seen the behind the scenes, the meals that they were having there, they were having a full-on proper set when they were shooting these shows, and they needed to get paid, and everything was so top-notch. Hair was last on the list, and I get it. And I wish everybody would have gone natural, but in what world? In what world? So yeah, those are my 2 cents.
Thank you, Tebogo, Mukebelo, and then Unati.
Okay, I have to agree with Devil on the whole main donkey thing. As someone who's had short hair I had short hair for like 2 years, right? I used to cut my hair for like 2 years. I had short hair. Dated a guy, met him with my short hair. He liked me with my short hair until he saw a picture of me with long hair, and he also saw a picture of me with a weave. Then all of a sudden, the dude was going on about, you can't always have short hair, you're not a man, you're not a man, you're not a man. Luckily, I'm one person who really doesn't care what the next person thinks of me. I would rather let you go. So I told him, hey, my brother, so bye, Felicia. So I had to let him go because he kept on repeating the whole, why do you have short hair? You're a woman. Why do you have short hair? You need to grow your hair. You need to wear a weave. You need a buzz down. Those kind of things. So he kept on. So, when it comes to the issue of hair, I'm one person. I've had weaves before. I've flexed my hair. I've had an afro before. I've done all hairstyles actually, except dreadlocks. And for me, one thing I've realized when it comes to hair, as somebody who actually has, I don't want to use this term, but what the hair that people call the kafir hair, I have very, very coarse hair. I have very, very coarse hair. So growing up, I used to relax my hair. So when I started having an afro and stuff, I had to learn my hair from the beginning. I had to learn everything about my hair, how to maintain it, how to comb it, how to style it. And it was so difficult. As someone who's used to relaxed hair, it was so difficult because with relaxed hair, you just comb, then what the hell pondering you done. But with afro, especially when you have my type of texture, my hair grows very long. I have very rich, I have very rich hair, I have nice hair, but maintaining the hair was so difficult. I remember it got to a point where I decided to relax my hair because I was like, I am tired. I am tired. And I feel like this comes from the point that when we're very young, we are not taught how to take care of our natural hair. So when you get older, in order to look more presentable, in order to look more presentable, you feel like you have to relax your hair because growing up when we were in primary school, we were told that relaxed hair was neater, it was more presentable. You had to braid your hair, it was more presentable. And I think it is like it's in our head that weaves are more, they are more formal. Even in workplaces, weaves are more formal. We are more presentable when we have weaves. When we were growing up, when you had dreadlocks were a problem in primary school. Kids who had dreadlocks had a problem. At school, they will tell you our school doesn't allow dreadlocks. And that's like black people hair. I think it comes from how we were raised. Just that with this new generation, I've seen it with my niece. My niece has an afro. You can never tell my niece to relax her hair. She loves the afro. With this new generation, it's different because we've learned to embrace our afros and our natural hair and stuff. I think it's getting better. But with our generation, I understand why a lot of us prefer weaves. A lot of people prefer weaves. They prefer because we were taught. Like when we were in high school, when the we're so in was still a thing, bonding was still a thing. We knew we all wanted a bonding care. We all wanted a bonding because it was the thing. And now with weaves and even with weaves, they are different. We used to have those ones where you weave, you stand, then jiki jiki we have glue, then jiki jiki we have glueless. And and it's also another thing, it's status now. Like our natural hair, it kind of shows, hey, look, doesn't have money. Then when you have a weave, you're like, oh, she has money. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mukubelo, Onati, and then the other I'm gonna pose you with the closing question. You'll add onto it, and then we'll wrap up for the evening.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. With what we Kibelo just said, in terms of wearing our natural hair, I think also right now, and she did reference this, that this generation right now, we are very woke, or we are very interested in learning how to be an African enough, we are very interested in learning how to be independent, whether you are the boy child or whether you're the girl child, right? And this is what we've been saying all around in this meeting, to say that in terms of like the generation, Joyce's generation and the Matipas and all of them, right? And the marriage and all of that, I think this generation is the one that is gonna actually crack the code that you do need your F money as a woman. You do need your F money as a boy child also. And with her too, right? we are the generation on TikTok. You go on TikTok, you have TikToks on how to take care of your natural hair. You have products. Black women are creating products for our natural hair, and it's no longer a status thing ever. Because if you look at it now, Nani Madida is the woman. She has all the money in the world, but she's wearing her hair proudly so. And it's how you wear it. And even if you don't add makeup, but it's how your energy possesses in rooms. It's how your aura addresses whatever it is happening around you. So I think our generation is gonna definitely, I'm telling you guys, like, we are having these discussions because this is a generation that's gonna crack the most code, that we are cracking the black consciousness. And our mothers, we can't really blame them. I am a 1999, you know but obviously I grew up, it's either I have my hair at school or I have cornrows, right? And then I upgraded to cornrows and then weave, or maybe dye my hair, just try to explore. But we are having a black consciousness in a way. In terms of money, we spoke about money, the relationship that we have with money. Our parents didn't have a relationship with money. Our parents didn't have a relationship with their hair, because all they knew is just to do bantu knots. Is all they knew about money is that you need to buy groceries as soon as it lands. But we are a generation, look at the workspace right now. We are the generation to say, no, I'm not going to cope in this workspace. My mental health comes first. I'll try by all means to build a business for myself. I'll try by all means to create something for myself and my family. We are the generation to say, no, I'm not sticking by this J&J business because this is not my inheritance. This, my kids are not going to inherit. We are the generation that is saying now, no, kids actually, they should wait. Give me time. I don't want kids right now. We are the generation to say, no, a guy who's going to tell me, even if you're my boyfriend, who's going to tell me, I want us to be pregnant, that is an insult. I'm going to run from you. Like, that is an insult. So I think we are cracking black consciousness, and I think we are in the right path. Obviously we are going to encounter challenges and all of that, but we are on the right path. And then to close it off, we've been in the film industry, and also the viewers have been having a discussion about sex scenes, right? Because in the past, there've been a lot of sex scenes, right? And most of the time, I would argue this to say that, you know what, every scene in film, it needs to lead to the next story. What is it on about? And this production literally did that with the sex scenes. They were not too much, obviously, for other people, maybe they were too much or something like that. But as a filmmaker myself, I see every sex scene was literally onto another story, telling us about another story. And then also with what did I want to mention? Oh my god, it just left my mind. I don't know. It just
It's
left.
fine.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That, you know what, even the sex scenes, they did justice. Like, people are not having that talk of saying the sex scene were too much, da 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 da. They did justice. Every scene, every color, everything literally led to the next story. The build up was beautiful, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Unati. Lerato, before I let you speak, I am going to ask you two questions. I think you are Ines, if I'm not mistaken. I'd like to know your thoughts on having the type of HIV and AIDS that was shown on the show, because that one was Z3. That's HIV from 2001. That's from Yizo days, right? And that's the type that can be avoided in today's day and age. And then also, what did you take from the series? And then I'm going to run down the line. And if you change your rating, please raise it up. But I'm just going to ask you, what did you take away from the TV series? Lerato.
Um, okay. So I'm happy with my takeaway with the HIV sin and AIDS. I think we have forgotten how serious this disease is. It's incurable, and then some people believe I they no longer take it seriously. I think with South African film industry, whether it is soapy, whether whatever documentary, they always try to be educational. And you know what I love with everything that is going on, and people like the banters also on social media. They always talk about we are an HIV country, whatever, but it's something that we do not hide. It's something that we took it out there to the world. This is a country that, HIV and AIDS, there's no stigma around it. We know, we have thought about it since we're young, like we had soul bodies and everything. And now we're bringing it out to the world that look, this HIV and AIDS is still there, and many young people, I think they've forgotten about it, and now it has bring back that, as I said earlier on, it has bring back that discussion, and I love the mere fact that they bring that Z3, that one that AIDS, where we are you always cold. I mean, like look at Jonas. There's a scene where he was like, "I'm feeling so cold," and his wife is like, "I have so many blankets. You have some, but you're still cold." So it sort of instilled that fear that you should fear this disease. And I like the fact that the younger generation, like the Lindela girl, the younger lady, she was taking her meds, which means that the young people, they are carefree. I think they're nonchalant, but at the same time, like even how they speak about, oh, I'm pregnant, but then after I was pregnant yesterday, but today I'm fine. Like they are, you know, I don't know how to put it in English, but there's a way that where we're saying whatever whatever education our, let's say, whether it's film, whether it's a school, whether it's skim sam, but young people are listening. Young people, they taking initiative. Okay, I will take control of my life. That's what I love about it. And I would say I give it a 10-10 because it went globally. That is, I give it a 10-10, and I hope they can get nominated for an Emmy. And yes, with everything that's happening in our country, you look at the fact that it's a Nigerian, it's a collaboration of countries, which means that yes, if we work together in a proper manner, we can achieve so much. In terms of wigs and stuff like that, I don't care because this was supposed to be educational. It's not Real Housewives of Joburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Lerato. Okay, I'm gonna go down the line, and you're gonna tell me what you learned. What are you taking away from the series, and your closing rating if your rating is changing. Abigail, you haven't said anything this meeting.
I agree with what most people say. Yeah, and I think the movie just speaks for itself. It's very direct. But I think my main takeaway was the effect of living in a male-centered, if you're a woman, the effects of living in a male-centered, or putting men first, that is, or just not putting yourself first. You can see that is what has caused all this. If any of those women had put themselves first or had that sense of self-worth within them, I don't think they would have accepted any of his behaviors. And yeah, so I think my rating maybe has changed to a 10 over 10 because of all the things that people have said. Yeah, and I do agree, but it was a very well done movie. A series, I mean. Yeah.
And are you looking forward to more Kgosi Film Circle sessions because you don't come to book club?
Definitely. I'm not really such a book person. I hope there'll be more.
We'll see what we watch next. Thank you so much, Abigail. Carol? Can maybe Carol? Oh, yes. Okay, go on.
Hi. First and foremost, Claire, thank you for repping Kenya. And as you were talking, I was just laughing because I just understood how we actually express ourselves. So my takeaway after now listening into all the comments and the different perspectives. My takeaway is about your self-reflection as a person and how you can aim to improve. Probably if you related to one of the characters, it's just about self-reflection and just moving forward from it, and saying it is what it is, you just move forward, and yeah, life happens, you learn from it. And then also the fact that when they brought in the STIs and the HIV aspect, that's when now it dawned to people, as much as we've taken the life of cheating as the norm, then there are these repercussions of the STIs and the gonorrheas and the HIV. So that was another angle of just bringing out the fact that these diseases are still there, and yeah, people should take caution, and yeah, to come out from this bubble of, yeah, this is how life is, but there are repercussions from it. So that was my takeaway. That was my lesson from the series. Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. Javier, you haven't said anything this meeting. What is your key takeaway listening to everybody's crash outs?
Who, Mina?
Yes.
I'm just happy to see new faces, first of all. Siakula, Spaningi, and but most people have dropped off. My key takeaway is a bit more philosophical. The representation of African stories and how the industry keeps growing and bringing these stories to light and how this is being received. I would have hoped we would have addressed the reception from the world. I saw that the series was, I think, top one in just about 16 countries, including Brazil, Ireland, so Philippines, etc., etc. So there's that the reception of our stories, which I really appreciated. Also, I am curious to see what this is going to do to the industry, because the Polygamist is not the first of its kind in our televisions. Remember, we had Intersections, um, which is a bit of a spin-off of this. And also we've had Gomorrah, I think, if I remember. So this is just it's not really unique in our television. So I'm really curious to see what the South African film industry is going to produce next, after The Polygamist. Is it also going to be another book adaptation, or is it going to be something about sexuality, perhaps something about capitalism? I want to see also something about xenophobia, just stories about Africa without being diluted or being made for the Western gaze. So that has been a bit of my takeaway from this. Thank you.
Thank you, Javier. We'll meet you at the next meeting. Komotro?
Akaseko.
Okay, Leah?
10 out of 10 minus nothing. This was a masterpiece. I loved it. I loved it. Excellent, excellent pick.
Thank you, Leah. Mukibelo?
Well, initially I gave it an 8 out of 10. I don't know why I gave it that rating. I don't know. I just give a rating. I also give it a 10 out of 10. And I also like what Donati said about the whole sex scene thing, because I'm one of those people who hates sex scenes. I hate sex scenes. Most of the time I'll stop watching a show if it has a lot of unnecessary sex scenes. And I'm like, why every scene but Shiba? I hate sex scenes. So this was the first show where I actually watched sex scenes, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense why they are there. So I was actually very impressed. I actually enjoyed it. I'm one of those people who actually watched it in one sitting. It was an amazing show. I can't fault it. The acting was amazing. yeah, everybody deserves that role because I these days with influencers and influencers getting jobs they don't deserve because of followers. I was happy. I was impressed. I don't have any complaints, and yeah, I'm happy. 10 out of 10. I don't know why I gave it an 8 out of 10. Actually, I don't know why. I don't have a reason, but 10 out of 10.
Thank you, Mukibelo. See you at book club. Nani?
Thanks, Kgosi. And before we get into the tale of the book club,
Oh, can I add something, Kgosi? If there's a popular film, or invite the little Navajo book club, okay? Like, I'm not a film person, but sometimes you should invite us to those film discussions and stuff. Sorry to disturb you. Sorry.
Shop.
I was
Nani?
saying, Kgosi, before you make me feel bad, that's why one of the reasons why I came to the film roundtable is because I missed you guys and I still want to participate. So I'm glad you opened up this forum. I think it's going to be easier for me to attend these ones because listen, I'm still reading The Covenant of Water. That's how hectic my situation is. Okay, please don't judge me. I'm still there. So, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I enjoyed the series. I loved this discussion. It was really fantastic. I wish to have more of these. So please do invite me moving forward. Okay. And please don't give up on me, Kgosi. Don't.
Definitely do that. And thank you for bringing such, I think, discussion points that allowed us to go deep and go in depth because I really had superficial questions. And I'm glad we could unpack some things that I really wasn't thinking of. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So personally, I'll give this show, because I haven't read the book, I'll give the show a 10 over 10. Because anybody who makes me defend Baba Segi, I'm sorry, you've won me over. If you can make me defend Baba Shegi, you have, I swear, I by the 5th or 4th, no, actually by the 9th episode, somebody said after the 9th episode, you start watching it standing up. I was like, yeah, actually, yes. And then I was like, Baba Shegi is a good man, Savannah. Just a victim of circumstances. There was no reason for me to be hating Baba Shegi to this extent. There was literally, you could have not paid me enough money to ever believe that at some point I will be saying, good, he is a good man, Savannah. When we're talking about it, in the Olympics, somebody said in the book club group that in the Olympics of horrible men, Jonasi takes the cup. Yeah, so but 10 over 10, hey? I don't know why I have never given Sue Nyathi's books a chance before, but I think this is the time for me to actually buckle down and start reading them. Somebody said to read Gold Diggers as well. So yeah, I had never actually given her books a chance. So that's my bad. I'll correct that.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's nice that this was her first book, so you can go along her body of work from this one.
Yeah.
Ntombi, you owe us story times at TikTok. You've got a lot of news there.
I've got a lot. I still maintain my 10 out of 10, simply because I saw part of my lineage in Jonasi. I saw my grandfather, I saw my father, I saw my ex-husband in there. So for me, it said there is a generational thing there. I saw it even within the TV series as well, that there's generational things going on there from Joyce's mother, Matipa's mother, what, all of it. So I saw that for us, when we watched The Polygamist as my family, we started having the language to unpack what was happening in our family. Being my mother and her sisters also marrying Jonases. So for a long time, I couldn't understand why my aunts and my mom, whenever we would bring up as cousins, we would bring up our dad's names, they would lose it. It literally took 26 years for my mom to not even get angry at the mention of my father's name. So when we watched this TV series, they were able to say, this is it. This is what was happening. And we could actually attribute what these men were, narcissists. And the craziest part was that it was broke narcissists, but they were able to capture our parents. So as much as I could see that from a personal perspective or from a personal experience, it leaves me with the question that says, I didn't stay the years that my parents stayed together. 3 months in, I knew something's up. On the 3rd year, I left, and because I told myself it ends with me, because I would like to have children. My cousins are going to have children. My siblings are going to have children. What are we going to subject them to? So it made me question that. And also another question that I asked myself is, for women who become victims of these narcissists, how can I be a safe space for them? I saw a lot of reviews, people bashing our Joyce, bashing our Essie. I had my feelings as well. But the one thing that I took away from it all is, how can I be a safe space for these women? Because somewhere, somehow, they are victims of their circumstances or victims of these narcissists.
Thank you, Ntombi. Ditebogo, I don't know if you had a chance to speak. Nati, I think you did.
Yeah, I'll say my closing. My takeaway is 2 things for me. Number one is that as a creator, everybody creates to create a hit, something that everybody will relate to and be successful. Sometimes a hit comes a decade later. I mean, if we look at The Polygamist, it's a hit now, after over a decade. So as a creator, patience pays. Like it takes a decade sometimes to become an overnight success. My second one is that I'm to an extent a mpume. And my takeaway is, because I used to carry the burden of, there has to be something that I could do, or there should have been something I could have done. There should have been something I could have done to make my father love me the way I needed him to love me. But now I see that there's nothing I could have done. My tongue could have been laced with gold. My teeth could have been diamond. There's nothing I could have done. He was who he was, and he did everything that served him. It had nothing to do with me and everything to do with him. And I judged my mother harshly quite a lot. I still maintain that judgment because girl, you could have saved us. You could have saved my sister and I a lot of daddy issues. But those are my big 2 takeaways. It takes over a decade to become an overnight success, and everything that all my daddy issues has absolutely nothing to do with me. There's nothing I could have done. That man was who he was, Savannah.
Thank you, Ditebogo. And then lastly, Onati, and then I'll close off.
Well, I think obviously my perspective has changed. I started with a 8.5, but now we've gotten to a 9.9, right? 9.1 because 9.9 because even us as individuals will never be perfect. So the characters were not perfect. Also, the production wasn't perfect. We have the makeup that we are complaining about. We have the other details that we would have liked them to go deeper in, And then the other thing, I don't know who mentioned it, about the 2Ks or the young girl who was Lindani, who was just like drinking her medication, her HIV medication, openly and taking care of herself. It's simply because, remember, us guys, most of the time we grew up or we knew an uncle or we knew someone around us who had this HIV thing, right? And we saw that, oh, okay, they take medication and they look nice, Hence, Lindani was that character that I'm going to take my medication and I'll be fine. I'll flourish, And then the other thing was the women and having children. Leah said the women were antagonist or something like that, right? And then that brings me to question you guys. Obviously, we won't discover this now, but individually so, is that when you have children, do you lose your selfishness? Is it selfishness? Or do you have children for you to, do you lose your selfishness, or do you consider them first as a woman? Do you start considering them first once you have them? Or you still have that thing that, oh man, I still need to save myself? Because if it's like that, if it's like you have children and now you are nothing, it's all about the child, all about the child, then it brings me back to say that that means you neglect yourself. Now, okay, it's fine, you're not centering your husband, or you're not centering your baby daddy, right? But you are neglecting yourself fully now, and it's just like, then who are you living this life for? After children, you are living it for children only. And when do you consider yourself as a woman or as a man who's taking care of your children? When do you consider yourself in some certain situation? Because truth be told, you'll never be a perfect parent. You'll do whatever you think is right at the time. So yeah, that is my closing. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Onati. I want to thank today's roundtable cohort. Thank you so much for bringing your points and for us to have a really deep, in-depth conversation about the series. I think we touched on things that I didn't think we would get to, that I think other people who watch this will also not think, we're not thinking about. And this is the first time we do this year. We did it last year for 4 sessions because the participation was not there. I think our last meeting, there were 3 of us on a call. And me, whether 2 or 3 gather, we will still have the meeting. So yeah, thank you for joining this. I really enjoyed this. And all our sessions are available on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. The mission is to get to 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, I really have nothing else to say but to say thank you for being with me for 3 hours now. I've never had a session this long. And when I was setting up the time, I was even wondering if I was going to. It wasn't. Even our book club meetings are not this long. So yeah, thank you everyone. I wish you an amazing week. And I don't know what we're going to discuss next, so please leave suggestions in the group and let the conversation carry on in the group then. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say except thank you.
I propose
And
another meeting.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
That was our Kgosi Film Circle discussion for June. We are speaking about The Polygamist. If you would like to join this forum, please click on the link in my bio. Otherwise, please continue engaging with the content on my page, and also please subscribe to my YouTube channel and have the best week going forward. Thank you.